Welcome to the Mound City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, July 22nd, 6 o'clock. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have our agenda. We do want to take number 6, which is Plaid Moose Marketing. They are not here. They're going to reschedule. And I'm going to change that to Orono Police update. So I have that amendment. Do we have any other amendments? No? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with that amendment?
I have one question, actually. Was there something for parks that we need to talk about or anything, or not?
About what?
Initially, we're going to have a workshop today. It's going to probably be moved to the 12th, most likely.
I think he's talking about the email that we got.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want, we can add it to the end.
Add to the end.
Of this, yeah.
Of the agenda,
I mean,
sure.
I'd like to, I think.
Yeah.
Sure, they wanted to make sure those events happened.
Okay.
What email did we get regarding
I
park?
think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a couple of things for events that Parks approved a while ago and that we were going to approve for events in the park. One was for the library. It's got a name. I can't remember the name of it.
Why
There
didn't
were
everybody
four-
get that
I didn't
email?
get an email.
She just asked us if it was going to be on the agenda tonight. So she just copied the two of us.
It was literally at like 3 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
And if we didn't
okay.
talk about it, then a couple of the pre-planned events that Parks had approved that we talked about at our meeting, they wouldn't be able to happen for permits. So Chair Khan had wanted to ask if we could just look and make sure that those are approved and able to happen.
Is that something that we can approve, Jesse, without some?
I think it's probably
Resolutions?
worth, I think we can add it. I did forward it to the city attorney as well. It was, like Castellano said, it was a little late in the day, but I think we can add it, and then Scott can look at it for the next few minutes. And
Or have the name of the events,
I
but
think
they were just.
minimally we can probably get through it in a way that
No, I just checked.
gives us some contingencies or something. I mean, I did see it too. It looked like maybe we could try
Maybe
to
it
do
went to
something.
junk.
Yeah, it was a couple of events that Parks had planned earlier in the year.
I might just
One for
shed,
each week of August.
I might shed some light on that just
It
because
was the
I
ones who were waiting for.
was staff
attorney's
liaison to the park commission, and so this was something that the park commission wanted to do. They wanted to start doing some park commission sponsored events. So the goal, with that though, was to get it approved, hopefully a policy approved by August. So the city attorney and I worked on a kind of an agreement and a policy that would go hand in hand with any partners that the city partnered with, just making sure everything was understood as far as responsibilities of both parties. That went to the park commission in this July. It did get reviewed and approved by the park commission to go to the city council. But the intent then was to probably bring it to a workshop to further discuss it, both documents, just to make sure that it was vetted enough. The only problem with that, sorry, this is taking a long time. The only problem with that is that they were hoping to get started in August, and it does delay the document or approval of the document. So I think, yes, it would have to go to Scott, the attorney, to I guess I don't know what your opinion on that is.
Are we
but-
going to have enough time? I mean, we don't have anything on it, so.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of info on it. So
Is
maybe
it
we-
regarding the legalities and the?
Yeah, it's just a policy that guides the park commission, like the administrative process that allows this park commission to work with outside partners and to make sure that both parties understand the responsibilities and including insurance requirements if needed, and when the city can waive insurance requirements.
Was that the one you were going to put on the consent agenda, but decided it would be better for the council to be able to look it over?
Yeah, it was something the park commission did recommend it to the city council, but because it probably needs further discussion, before approval, my recommendation was to then move it to the August 12th workshop meeting. Because I just didn't feel like it was ready to go straight for approval.
Okay.
So that does delay things, unfortunately, for the program, so I guess,
The problem is if we don't have anything to review, there's nothing to talk about, so
Yeah.
we're just approving the agenda right now. Why don't we just put a pin in it and talk about it at the workshop?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing we can do, we can't approve something that,
Was there an event planned for August 1st?
well,
or
there's
12th?
two events that they wanted to do before that, but
Okay, all right,
we just didn't get them in time, so there's nothing we can do about it.
okay.
And if I add, what we have, what the document will be in August, that work session, is the policy that that my office drafted, reviewed by the commission with their suggested changes, and then the agreement that I drafted. So that's what we're talking about. But anyways, that's for the work session.
We're not gonna have enough time to do that.
No, because you need to have it in front of you to look at.
We
Yeah.
need to
So-
review it.
All right, so back to the original, we're gonna cancel number 6. We're gonna put Orono Police update there, and that's it. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with amendments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with number 6 being amended.
Okay, got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, we got our consent agenda. Does someone want to go through those?
I can do that really quick. One sec. Okay. Let's see. All right, so consent agenda, number 4, items A through F. A, approve payment of claims. B, approve minutes from the July 8th workshop meeting and July 8th regular meeting. C, Resolution 25-63, amending Resolution 2503. Do we have a typo in here,
so.
in the resolution?
It is kind of in the resolution?
It's
Yeah, it's supposed to
amending.
be appointing
Amending
Kevin,
a re-
right?
Oh, let's see, what is,
Right, it's amending the
It's
resolution
amending it.
that had.
Okay, got it, okay.
Yeah.
So the language in the resolution is right, I saw, okay. Amending Resolution 2563. Resolution 2563, amending Resolution 2503. Appointing acting manager for 2025. D, action on Resolution 2564, approving concert permit for private event at 1901 Shorewood Lane on August 9th from 1 to 5 p.m. And E, pay request number 3 in the amount of $191,056.65 to Widmer Construction for project PW 2512. And F, approve change order 1 for 2025 street and utility improvements, project PW-25-01.
All right, got our consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull any of those to talk about it? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
You got a motion, can I get a second?
One second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Herrick,
Aye.
Councilmember McEnany.
Aye.
Councilmember Pugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Castellano,
Aye.
Mayor Holt.
Aye. All right, all that passes, thanks. Number 5, we're going to comments and suggestions from anyone present that their item is not on the agenda. We are going to have a water update meeting later, and we're going to have public comment at that point. So if you have anything else to talk about, if you want to come up, I can give you 3 minutes. All right, not hearing anybody. We're going to go to number 6, which is the Orono Police update. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Over the past 2 weeks, Orono has been busy with just summertime calls and calls for service jumping up just because of the activity in the area, again, as usual. I haven't seen much uptick in anything specific, but 2 points I wanted to bring out that I've witnessed on my shifts at night, and then just dealing with them in general. is we get out music complaints coming out. It's understandable, nice weather, want to be out by a bonfire, want to listen to music. Just keep respectful. The neighbors are close to each other around here, so we get calls. There's nothing they're doing wrong. They're just probably a little too loud when it's open. So we've been addressing those off and on throughout the past few weeks. And then the one thing that I've noticed working with my crew at night, at least 2 to 3 doors on businesses have been unsecured. My guys are out and women are out walking businesses at night. You might not know that. You might get a card from us one time and see that we've been in your business to make sure nobody was in there. We secure it. Basically, we're finding that they're locking them. They're not making sure they're latched. So if we can get the business owners and community to understand that, that's just an easy way in for the criminals. So watch your doors, watch your businesses, and make sure you're securing those doors at night when you leave. But nothing else, we are out there, we are checking. Just a quick update, the SOL Spirit of the Lakes went off pretty good from reports. There's a few incidents, just some juvenile issues and some assaults from like parties and stuff. They weren't anything to be concerned about. They were just things that people got into disagreements and we dealt with them. So nothing more than that. CSO cadet application process is opened for our filling our vacant spot, and it will be closing July 28th at 4:30 p.m. And then other than that, we have our Officer Beck. He is completing his first week of FTO and is doing pretty good. He'll start his second week tomorrow. Any questions on the e-bikes? I know there was a commission meeting on them. We are fully out there engaging with the people as much as we can. One of my officers just got done dealing with 2 of them. And, you know, without ordinances in place for us, we basically are stopping them, checking them. If there's an infraction, like this afternoon, there was one popping a wheelie, throttle gave out on the vehicle and he scraped him up pretty good. We cleaned him up, called his parents, and, you know, let them know what was going on and why they're making contact with their kids, you know. And I've had a lot of conversation with surrounding areas. They have ordinances in place that are pretty strict, and basically they're chasing them out of their downtown areas and keeping them clear from foot traffic as much as they can. But we're finding also the kid this afternoon was from Maple Grove, got on the trail, came down to visit his buddies here in Orono. So they are using the trails, they're getting out and they're coming down because their cities aren't either allowing it or it's just more fun to come down and hang out and do their thing. So that's kind of where we're at with it at this time. We're doing our best. Most of them are abiding by the laws and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But there's those few handfuls that are not doing the right thing, and we're trying to educate them as best we can and keep up with them.
Refresh my
I have a
memory, does
question,
Mound have?
Just
Oh, pardon.
You said about ordinances, so that would be each local community needs to do its own ordinance, or is it a county, or at what level do these ordinances need to be
Yeah,
made?
it would be nice to see the county come out with a one that adapts to all of us, and if they would do some work on it. Because yeah, understand, we can't do anything as law enforcement officers if we don't have something in place that gives us a directive to do something. I mean, if it's something unsafe, you know, we're going to make contact. But as long as, along the lines of law enforcement actions, as in confiscating bikes, writing citations, we have to have something that we can go by that says, you did this wrong, you're getting cited for it.
Yeah.
And
Now, at the Festival of the Lakes, there was a group of e-bikes, which I thought was interesting. There were about 30 of them. So are they organized, or is that an informal?
I think it's more informal. I think they're just kids hanging. They're mostly kids just hanging out, getting together. You know, back in our day, if we wanted to see a friend in a town over, we had to pedal bike, you know, 10 miles to go see our friends. Now they can jump on their bikes and be there in, you know, 10, 15 minutes. And
It'd be interesting to know how Festival of the Lakes reached out to that group, and maybe talking with that group and getting them to do some self-guided behaviors. Would be good.
It was the same question that basically Councilmember Pugh asked.
So So just an update, so you weren't there, but we had a police commission meeting, Councilman Herrick and I, with the chief and then also the other few people in the different towns. And basically at the end of the day, like you said, you guys don't have enough to really go after people. They come off of the trail, Three Rivers Trail, right, Dakota. They come off of there. By the time they do something bad, they go back on there. Three Rivers basically said they're not enforcing it. Tough stuff, right? So what we are requesting is to meet with Marge Beard, who's our Three Rivers rep, as well as our county commissioner, Edelson. So we're gonna set up a meeting with the two of them plus the mayors of the police commission, each city that you guys cover. So we're gonna try to get some answers and some strategy. It doesn't make sense if Mound does their own ordinance and then they cross over to Spring Park and then they're like, well, which town am I in? Okay, well, they gotta wear a helmet here, but they don't over here, or, you know, blah, blah. So to make it easier for Orono Police, we gotta be on
And
the
none
same
of those
page.
kids on Saturday had helmets. Not a one of them.
Yeah, well,
The problem is technology moves so quickly
Sure.
and our laws can't keep up with them, so we are always in a kind of a gap when we come to these things.
yeah. You guys are fully staffed,
Yep,
so
we
you just reach full.
fully staff issue until we get our new guy on his own, which could take a little while to get him going. But yeah, we will be fully staffed, but we still have that one position for anybody that's, I can't remember what the acronym is for, but it allows people that are not law enforcement, if they want to make a career change, then we have grants that we can use. I think it goes year to year that we can send them to school, and when they're done, they have a contract signed with us, they work for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can, I think it's a +1 program is what it is, so that we
And
can.
that's where you just got one of your recent hires from.
That was our cadet program. That's
Cadet.
actually a
Well, that's a different.
kid that wants to go into law enforcement, so we bring him in as a CSO, community service officer, kind of do a hybrid training of CSO work with them, and then they kind of glom onto us, and we kind of start training them to be law enforcement officers. So they're a little bit ahead of the curve when they come out of school.
All right. Well, I want to say thanks for all the help at the festival. It's good to, have you guys around and helping out.
Yep.
I have
Officer
another
Schultz does a lot of
question,
hard
too.
work with that.
Yeah, she
She's
does.
really- That's her pride and joy.
How is the social worker doing?
She's
Is
doing
she
good.
still with you guys?
Yep, and she's got a heavy caseload, but she's doing
Okay.
good.
Now, is there any cross work partnership between you guys and the fire department? Because I'm looking at their report and they had a large number of EMS calls. So are they ever calling her and referring people?
We do lean on them, as much, like most of it, when the storms roll in, you will see an uptick in calls for that because they are running to our wires down, our trees down, stuff like that. We can't really help out with other than put up cones, and sometimes they have the more resources to handle that stuff. But if we are tied up and we can't get to a call, a serious enough call like a heart, stroke, something that requires somebody to get there, then we will ask to start them so that somebody with medical training can get there if we can't get there. Does that make sense?
Any other questions? And you're going to be gone the next meeting.
Yes.
All right, so unless there's any major change,
Yep, if you
We'll
need
just-
something, let me know and I'll
Yeah.
make sure someone's here.
if there's any big news, send someone else. If
Okay.
not, we'll see you in a month.
Sounds good?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. All right, number 7, we got council introduction of concept plan for Darren Kmeyer for 2-lot division proposed for property at 5212 Linwood Boulevard. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, guests. I'm Sarah Smith, I'm the planner, and I'm going to introduce Darren Kmeyer, who's going to be joining us to give a presentation to members of the council and those that are with us this evening on a proposed 2-lot subdivision of the property at 5212 Linwood. Members may recall that This council introduction is required by a policy that was enacted a handful of years ago. And what it is it's an opportunity for an interested party or a property owner to bring a concept to the council early on before the submittal of related land use and/or subdivision type applications. As part of the process, we also do a mailing to property owners within 350 feet in advance of 10 days before tonight's meeting. So we may have some guests with us this evening. We do not do technical review as part of a concept. This is really an opportunity to bring the idea to the council, to ask questions. Members of the council may have questions, but also to allow the public to learn about a proposed concept or something that may be coming forward before the submittal of formal applications. And we've used this process now a handful of times. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, Mr. Kmeyer is here. In your packet, we did provide a brief narrative that Darren provided, a brief concept using the existing survey showing a proposed division of a north-south split, creating a lake lot and a non-lake lot, as well as some photographs that were provided by Mr. Kmeyer for tonight's activities. So with that, I'll stand for questions, and I'll be ready in case you have questions later.
Council, have any questions for Sarah?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Darren, you ready? Can you give us your name and address?
My name is Darren Kmeyer. I'm at 5212 Linwood Boulevard, Mound. She told me to come to the meeting. We didn't say anything about presentation. But we proposed this lot split. It just makes sense. It meets all the requirements. There's some questions about the driveway, which I believe
If
the.
you want to point to anything, use the yellow. There.
Okay.
You've now been.
Do we have that available?
Can we darken this a little bit?
And this lot's been split before with flag lots, really weird stuff, and it's been put back together. And this just seems to make the most sense. It's a clean front-back type of split with, it's kind of been laid out there. And the driveway, let me use this now. Right here. And the driveway, I think runs here with there's a house here that's kind of, and there's so many easements and so many different things happening here that it would really be nice to, in the process of doing this lot split, to clean it all up. The legal description for this parcel is a page and a half long, with all kinds of stuff happening. But it doesn't really affect anyone other than this one here, and there's a house right here. But they already use this driveway, and there's a shared driveway agreement in place that everybody uses it. The house 5212 is right here, which also uses this driveway. But it does own, obviously we'll have to get some clarity with an updated survey and whatnot, but when this was originally done, it kind of shows where that line is. And everything meets setbacks, for the lots, a non-lake lot and then a lake lot. It meets all the requirements. So really the only thing in question is that driveway, which, obviously with some clarity from an assessor, or not an assessor, what do they call it, to do the survey, a surveyor, to come through and mark everything so there's some clarity to that. But, I've talked with most of the neighbors and they, everybody knew this was gonna happen. It's just waiting for it to happen. Because it's a, prime piece of lakeshore that's been not developed. And in the past, they've had they did get one approved where there was a flag lot that ran right along this edge and then came down in here. So it was crazy because this is a huge retaining wall that you can't, so you wouldn't be able to provide access from there. The access has to come from here, just due to there's like an 8-foot retaining wall right here along the road. So, that was really.
Okay. Does council have any questions for Darren?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Are you considering any sort of rain garden in this development for this site? Since you've got this driveway and your downslope into the lake.
Well, obviously wherever it would be needed, it's low, I'm using pointer. It's a little low right in here, which would get fill, and the house would be, probably 75 feet back, eventually. And whatever requirements there would be for, water runoff, obviously we're gonna be, changing to the 30% ground cover at that point, which would allow for enough, saturation. So, but if it was required, there's plenty of room there to do really anything required. But at first, I think it's just a matter of clearing up all the strange easements and all the weird stuff that's across this property for no apparent reason. Because there's another road, there's a house right here, and he's serviced by Apple Lane.
Where
and
there is a rain garden.
And there's some, yeah, he has one. And there's like an easement that cuts it, so there's just a mess down there. But yeah, if it was needed, it's definitely, there's plenty of room for it, for sure.
Any other questions?
I mean, like this early, this is just the concept introduction. I don't have any, until it would move further along, but I think it looks pretty normal at this point.
And are you suggesting, once you split it, they're still gonna share a driveway?
Yes, the driveway won't change. I'm guessing that at some point, talking with the neighbor, the one neighbor there, it needs to be redone anyway. So maybe they have it resurfaced and rebuilt. But yeah, it's and I don't know, the mayor had said he'd take a drive by, and I think Michelle did too, to kind of take a look at it. It's plenty wide, and it services 3 houses right now. There's another house right on the road, but they have a driveway off of Linwood, so they don't, it's really just kind of in their backyard.
It's like almost as wide as my road, like when you
Yeah.
guys do resurface
Well, it
it.
is an abandoned road. I can't, maybe
Yeah.
Sarah can remember, but I don't remember the name of the road. But it used to be a road, Laurel.
Laurel.
So do you guys share the cost in that, like when it gets resurfaced or? Like,
Well, yeah, I'm new to it. I just purchased this like 2-3 months ago, so I'm waiting for my first winter. But the agreement that's in place is that the 3 of us, share costs. And Bill, who owns the house there, he was the one talking about redoing the road, but he's like, I know someone's gonna build here, so we've just been waiting. And that was the conversation we had before I had purchased it. So, it'd probably be resurfaced and rebuilt, if needed, but yeah, otherwise it's plenty wide and goes all the way to give plenty of access.
Your proposed house on there, you'd have hardcover required.
Yeah, and it really, at this point, we want to know that we can do the lot, and then we're going to work on the house that's there. So it may be a year or longer before we build a house.
Yeah.
But just, I want to make sure that, because that really changes what happens with that house, depending on what happens with the lot.
Right.
But yeah, so, and I think it's almost like 3/4 of an acre now, maybe 0.79 or so. So it's a huge lot.
Yeah.
And it looks very odd, everybody thinks it's a separate lot already because it's just massive, but just kind of make it formal, and that makes that a buildable lot, and then someday, maybe.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I mean, I would just say like the reason why we kind of have like this new, not so new process is to help like quell people's frustrations later. So if you think you know what you want to put there, and like you said in the text, it was like the variance or like the setbacks were all being met and everything.
Yes,
You know, like,
definitely.
I don't
Actually,
know if
they're
the
gonna
right-
be exceeded. We'll be, the setbacks are 50 feet at the water, and we probably would be 75 or so.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna be, the Taj Mahal, it's just the wife and I.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, what the order of events there is, like if when you figure out what you think you want to build there, and then see if the lot dividing still makes sense, or, I don't know.
Well, I would
But
think
it
that
looks totally
the
normal to
next
me.
step, we'd kind of put a spec, here's a drawing of what would fit and meet the ground cover expectations and the setbacks, and that way, when I come back, I think Sarah's gonna tell me, to get it approved, you'll at least be able to visualize, okay, so this is how this lays out. It's really just, do you think it would be a viable option to split that lot with that access is really what we're questioning. Because everything else meets
Yeah.
the requirements.
All right. Thanks
Go
for coming.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to say anything else, sir? Or?
I think what the next step will be is that, as Darren mentioned, there are a lot of easements in and around that area. And so I think next step is survey work, likely in the form of an ALTA, that the surveyor will depict and identify the easements by legal description, show them what they are, what they're for, who they benefit, so that we can determine the area, what those, and where those setbacks will be coming from. And also who has rights to those easements as well. I think the most important thing, at least for this north-south configuration, is that the new lakeshore lot does not have frontage on an improved road, and so that has to be processed as a variance. But in advance of that, we want to make sure that if it doesn't have public road access, that it has access via another instrument, via shared driveway, easement, all of that, and that's all gonna come together in probably the next steps as we move forward. But I do agree, the lot is fairly substantial in size. Your new lakeshore lot has to be 10,000 square feet, has to have 60 feet of frontage at the I-929. The non-lakeshore lot has different requirements. These go back to the 2006 changes to the DNR regulations for our shoreland. But, and again, where the front setback will be measured from, because it doesn't on a street, well, that'll be determined, but I would think it's probably gonna be the edge of the road. I mean, that would make sense to me, but anyway, we're gonna start working on all that stuff, and I agree with them. Legal description's about this long, and half's Torrance and half's abstract, so.
Okay, then the last step, I don't know if there's anybody else here that wants to come up and talk about this? Anybody in the public? Yes, not? All right, good luck.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, number 8, we got water treatment solution update presentation by Brian Simmons of Bolton and Mink. Yeah, put your coat on.
Jesse, you're gonna drive, right? I'm just gonna have this.
Yeah. And just a quick thing, I don't know if he can hear me up there, but I hope you're recording. There it is. All right, thanks. Just want to make sure, so people see this later.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, guests in the council chambers. I'm Brian Simmons, Senior City Engineer. We're here to continue a discussion that has been ongoing, well, frankly, for a long time. But the current status of this, it started really in 2021, when we were required to send out the notices about manganese, and it's become so much more than that. And so tonight is a little bit about transparency, accountability, looking back on where we've been. I know from an outward perspective, somebody might think, we don't have a treatment plant yet. What the heck have you guys all been doing, and gals? And also, I have a lot to share tonight about what we have been doing. So a little bit of this is rehash, both from the state of the water and from previous presentations. However, it's very important, I think, to set the stage. So the purpose and the process. The purpose is to provide the residents of Mound with safe and affordable drinking water. That started with the conversation about manganese, but it has gone beyond that because the solution to remove manganese is the filter. And when we construct a filtration water treatment plant, we remove a lot more than just manganese. We were roughly planning for, I'll say, and that sort of describes a funny process where every year we would talk about the capital improvement plan, and I would try to put in a water treatment plant, and previous city manager would say, push that off a few more years, we can't afford that, and Noah would say, oh my gosh, we can't afford that, so we would push it down the road. But from my perspective as an engineer, a treatment plant was always in our future because of the iron and manganese, before the manganese became, beyond a nuisance. The pictures online, the bottles of water that Hoverston used to bring to the meetings, right, with the brown stuff, when people see us flush the hydrants, some people understand, some people get their laundry ruined. It's a real, it's a spectrum these days, but there is stuff in our pipes, and that comes from the water. And we are adding things to the water to make it safe to drink. Most of that stuff, with the exception of the manganese now, has always been a nuisance, but it does make for cloudy water. It does get us a lot of negative feedback from residents that are like, why are my water bills this, and we have cloudy water? Well, the reason is we do not have any filtration in place at the municipal level. So we're talking about constructing a water treatment plant that does some filtration. We are leading with, we need to remove the manganese, because the manganese is the reason that we have all come together on this. The manganese is also the reason that we have recommended residents of Mound either do not drink the water, or they look at if their water softener or their existing filters, please examine, are you removing the manganese? Is your water safe to drink at your tap? Which is frankly a terrible conversation to be having, but we're really right on the line. And we've been put in this position by a number of other government agencies, frankly. I don't have any problem throwing them under the bus at this microphone. The Minnesota Department of Health is one of them. They're sort of a partner in this, but they're the ones that mandated us to send out those letters. And yet they're fairly silent when it comes to the question of when are we going to get more money. So maybe that's enough on that for now. Just real quick before you scroll off of the picture of the water tower, Jesse, we did a study that was commissioned in 21 after the initial do not drink declaration. And we looked at a couple of different options. We talked at that time about softening. I'm not interested necessarily in rehashing all of that unless you all would like to. However, we landed on, for Mound, the most economical and responsible solution was to conduct a single water treatment plant in Sorbo Park near the Evergreen Water Tower. We call it Evergreen. And to upgrade the trunk water mains between there and the Chateau Water Tower so that we could still distribute all of that clean, treated water amongst the rest of the water distribution system. Our price tag might look a little bit bigger than other communities, or if you've been out there talking to other communities, some of our neighbors, that say, well, I just built a treatment plant and it costs only X million of dollars. Well, some of those things have been in the works for a really long time. We are almost having to start from scratch in terms of where we're going to put the plant, which pipes are going to carry it, how do we reconfigure our system to handle water completely differently. So I sort of covered this, but the manganese notifications resulted in the do not drink order. To remove the manganese, we need a water treatment plant. We need some sort of filtration. To date, Mound has not had a water treatment plant. I actually felt kind of silly writing that bullet point, but it's become apparent to me, and especially some of the feedback I've gotten from Jesse, that this is a thing that not everybody is aware of. We have been adding the mandated chemicals to the water. When I say chemicals, I mean things like fluoride, chlorine, things that make it safe in the system and safe for us to consume. But those are not technically water treatment. So treating for the manganese will remove the iron, bacteria, and other contaminants. So after running water through a treatment plant, it will be manganese, mostly manganese free, but it will also be free of these other things. At this time, like I said, we are not pursuing softening. We did have a conversation in these chambers with the previous council. That price tag has been a little tough to swallow, and based on the conversation that I assume is going to follow some of these slides, that will also add credence to why we are not pursuing softening at this time. Let it rip, Jesse. Just a little bit of information about manganese and the things that a packaged filter plant will remove. But the discoloration in the water, the brown and the black, that is oxidized iron and oxidized manganese. We see it come out. We see it move around when we do flushing. Sometimes we find out about water main breaks. Hopefully, we know pretty quickly, right, Ryan? But every once in a while, the indicator of a water main break is change in direction in water, and then we get, brown water that was sort of settled out, or some of the sediment that was settled out, suspended into the water, and then comes out in people's faucets. So without us having done any work, sometimes those things get back into the water again. We find out later, well, the direction of the water flow changed because there was a water main break. Removing these things will extend the life of things like water softeners, faucets, filters, all of the appurtenances in your house. It will also reduce the city's costs. We spend a fair amount of time taking care of our own infrastructure because of this stuff that is in the water. Another thing I want to touch on is that at some point, not having a treatment plant will start to affect property values and resale in Mound. I'm not going to go beyond that to substantiate that, other than to say, I think that's a thing that we all agree on. Yes, Ken?
Could you go back a bullet point and expound a little bit on long-term savings, like less flushing, or what's the?
Yeah, so the engineering term for that would be O&M, operations and maintenance.
Okay.
Right now, we spend, Ryan, how many days total do we spend flushing? We do that. 3 weeks? Yeah, 3 weeks. So consider, we have a couple of crews out running around with city trucks flushing for 3 weeks.
So capital improvement, it's not just savings there, it could be like labor and
Absolutely.
manpower as well.
Yep,
and all
yep,
stuff.
that operations and maintenance cost, you know, having filters and things in our buildings, that sort of stuff, the consumables.
Okay,
Hydrants that break more often, you know, valves that break more often because of the stuff that's in the water. When we filter that out, the life of those gets a lot longer.
okay.
Does that-
But
does that-
personnel too,
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. Does that answer your question?
Mhm.
Excellent. I was just touching on the property values thing. I was saying, I don't want to go any deeper into that than that bullet point right now, unless you all have a lot of questions. I just think that that's something we sort of all agree on. We have not done a study necessarily to substantiate that statement, but we know that it is out in the public, out in the world, that we have issues with the manganese in the water. It also is very public that we're doing something about it. But part of the conversation here tonight is, what are the next steps? When are we going to build the full solution? I've beat some of you over the head with this manganese. I know Mr. Hoverston did as well. But manganese is a health-based guidance. Unfortunately or fortunately, manganese is not quite on the same level as lead. It's not a poison, it's not a toxin. However, as with many things, we consume some of it to be healthy, but if you consume too much of it, it has negative health effects. And what, in essence, we're being told is that the amount that's in our water is within a range that the Department of Health and the EPA at the federal level believes it to be harmful over time. No one is out here volunteering to do a manganese study, so this health-based guidance is they've taken their best guess, and based on the concentrations in our water, this is what they think. Unfortunately, that this is what they think has carried over into us telling people, maybe don't drink the water.
I have spent a couple years looking for studies of any kind, and I have never found one. Are you saying there are no studies?
There are studies about manganism in terms of manganese as like a raw metal. You know, so if you Google manganese and like manganese overdose, which is what manganism is called, you'll see a lot of stuff about inhaling manganese or having like consumed large amounts of raw manganese. A lot of that comes from the forging and smelting processes in the early 1900s. You know, well, that's when people would have been exposed to a lot more manganese. So we know because of that it can cause brain damage if you are getting a lot of it into your system. The amounts that are in the water, I'm not aware of any study that's been done.
I'm speaking specifically to studies on adverse health effects. They claim the neurological system, and I haven't found any studies, and because they arbitrarily kind of chose, the percentage that is bad for us, it's difficult to, I guess, have strong beliefs in that when we've been drinking it for, in my case, 36 years with no adverse effect.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It would be nice if this was, in one of those categories where it was hard and fast, and we could say, with definition. Also, when I mentioned before that we have been sort of straddling this strange place where we're telling people you maybe shouldn't drink the water, or at the very least test it from your faucet, is because many residents of Mound soften their water. So they've been removing it inadvertently for years alongside of consuming the water for years. So, for you, I don't know how long you've had a water softener, if you grew up with one, that kind of stuff, but that process removes manganese. So there are some things that have been done already to take it out. Also, like I said, nobody's volunteering for a manganese study.
Right.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon unless there is, some new science to test for it in trace amounts in humans, and, they come out with some better data on how bad it is for us at exact concentrations.
I guess until we can all talk to the state to turn off the fluoride spigot into our water, manganese to me has little consequence. Fluoride, has known health problems.
And fluoride
Has been
is
for
also
years.
mandated.
I know it's
Yeah,
mandated,
yep.
and so is chlorine. So I feel that another thing we can do in the public is reach out to the state of Minnesota, and I know Florida just turned off their fluoride spigot.
Yes.
So I'm much more concerned about that and all the other toxins than manganese, but because they've issued this health concern, we have to address it.
Yeah, and it puts us in an awkward position, right? manganese has started this conversation, but the fact that we weren't treating the water at all is always been sort of an undertone, right? We didn't have a treatment plant. I was just telling Jesse before the meeting started that, sort of in my humble opinion, and I'm not an expert on this by any means, but if I look back at history, about the time that some of the other cities around us started to consider water treatment plants, or I look at many of the other treatment plants were first conceived around the Twin Cities, it lines up roughly with the times around Mound where tornado, replacement of large amounts of sanitary sewer, becoming portions of the MWCC system, which we now know as Met Council. So some of those infrastructure things that, sins of the fathers and looking at what has happened in the past, some of those might be reasons, excuses why we haven't had a water treatment plant, but the fact remains it's 2025 and we do not. And we know that the water coming out of the ground has some stuff in it. Manganese, iron, some other things. So this plant will take them out, including manganese.
Brian, can you talk a little bit about, just so the residents can hear this, how one house can have no problems with their water and a block or 2 or 3 doors down have issues? Is that pipes? Is that,
Yeah,
what is causing that?
Thank
drastic-
you. That's very nuanced, right? A lot of our water system, for better or for worse, has sort of a consistent flow direction. And so as we're taking showers and doing dishes and, going about our daily lives, the amount of water that we're using is somewhat consistent. And so then the path and the flow of water in our pipes stays somewhat consistent. Where that flow has been consistent, these things that are particles, I'm going to use that word because I think it's pretty safe that we all understand manganese, iron, all this stuff is in the water as particles. It's going to settle out, sit down in those pipes. When we change the direction of that flow, we change the volume of that flow. We open the hydrant at the end of the block to do flushing. We have a water main break. Somebody has a party, right? Or they leave their outside hose on and water their lawn accidentally while they're on vacation for 2 weeks. All of those things impact which direction the water is flowing, and then those things that have settled out resuspend into the water. So, if you're connected to a pipe, a main, if you will, before, an intersection of maybe some smaller pipes or some larger pipes, that directionality between you and your neighbors could be different. And there are other influences on that, like, are you softening inside the home? Do you have a filter inside the home? What is the condition, age, and material of the piping on your property and into the foundation? Is your house newer? Does it likely have PVC? Or was your house stood up on an old foundation that maybe has some much older, galvanized cast type materials that are going to have a lot more of those, I call them tuberculations, but these guys tell me that's too nerdy of a word. So, the Swiss cheese stuff that's going to catch the particles, and then they can float back out of it very easily. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mostly wanted the residents to be able to hear that. because
Absolutely.
We all get calls about that, and it's a head scratcher, We're
Yeah.
like, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure along with that call, you get my neighbors or the house 3 doors down is not having the same problem, and everyone's just looking for answers,
Yeah.
right? They're looking for consistency and answers from us, and this is a case where there isn't a lot sometimes.
Thank you.
And thank you for kind of keeping this informal. I appreciate the engagement. I think I covered most of that. We always, when we talk about this, we try to make sure we're communicating. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
You. Back to Councilwoman McEnany's question. So the Minnesota Department of Health, and I'm still new, right? They made this recommendation, but based on what? Was
So-
there documentation that they provided?
So the health-based guidance comes from the EPA,
Okay.
and the Minnesota Department of Health chooses to follow the EPA's guidance.
Okay, so there is
kind of-
research that the EPA did then?
It's health-based, which means, I don't actually know if there's a paper out there or something, but I do know that there is no study.
There is.
I do know there's no
Just
study.
wondering what they based
They-
their
they
opinion
have-
on, or their recommendation on.
I will speak to what I know is that the EPA has published those limits.
Okay.
And they have said anything above this concentration, we feel is negative.
Okay.
They haven't said anything above this concentration is a primary contaminant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get off track in the engineering jargon, but primary contaminant is a capital P, capital C, a whole column of things that includes arsenic and lead, and, all the
Mm-hmm. Right.
very bad things. Whereas manganese is just bad.
Right. Okay.
Just real quick, before you guys hit me with any more, every time we talk about this, I like to make sure we remind everybody where you can get your water tested. It's not a thing that we have the capability to do at the city, but there are lots of options close by, and it's not super expensive. And it's worthwhile. Jason, I think, you mind sharing did you test before and after? You have them with you? Nice.
Brought it with.
Oh, ball T, hit it out of the park.
Yeah, it's well, it's a 3-page deal, but you just filled out $32, I sent it to, I think Bloomington, or no, I think it was Detroit Lakes, and then the results came from Bloomington. Anyway, they gave me a letter and an email. I can't find what the limits were. I couldn't find it in my email, but mine was like 0.01, which is super, super low. Now, this is when I only had my water softener. Since then, I've added a reverse osmosis.
Super RO, right?
Yeah. And I have not tested it since then, but I felt already pretty good. Now, that doesn't, I think I'm fine, but what I will say is we still have tinted water, right? We fill up the bathtub, and you're swimming in a yellow mess.
Yeah, there's still oxidized iron and oxidized manganese in the
Oh,
water.
yeah,
Really? Wow.
all the time,
Okay.
constantly. And I'm talking, you fill it up a little bit, then it's, okay, it's, some days it's like yellow, and sometimes it's, very, just a little tinted, sometimes it's a little tinted blue almost. It's really weird.
That's so weird. I never have that problem.
We have it,
And I'm a bather,
let's go
not
to
a
my house
shower.
tonight, I'll turn it on, I'll show you.
That's crazy.
It's that bad.
Wow, thank you.
If you do
Now,
it-
you don't notice in the shower, because it's just
Yeah.
coming, right?
Yeah.
You notice in the
Interesting.
bathtub.
And I, we've seen some of that on social media,
Oh,
some of
yeah,
it
I've seen all the pictures.
righteously very angry, but it ends up being this huge body of anecdotal evidence that there's stuff in water.
Yeah,
We know.
I'm telling you it is, because
We
it's
know.
in my house.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Just sort of a rehash part of this is like I said, a little bit about where we've been. Transparency and accountability. We have not been sitting on our hands since, February, March of '21. So a lot of these things that we've done since '21, we ordered the water treatment study. We brought that back to council. We actually made our initial, I forget about some of this stuff until I dig into this. We made our initial IUP and PPL application in April, in the middle of the water treatment study. We weren't even done, but we knew that the deadline was impending. And so we filled that out, shoved it out the door in a hurry to make sure that we got in that list, because, as I'm going to talk about in a second, ranking in that list is important, and it's going to become more important for us when we start to talk about other funding mechanisms. So where we are right now in '25, we've started to finished the first phase of trunk water mains. We have the second phase of trunk water mains ready to go. We were stuck in a little bit of a cultural resources rut and wrestling over who's in charge of what based on federal money. And we've knocked that loose. So hopefully the well construction will be happening as soon as it can be as well. And then the next step after that, in terms of the phases, we've put all those smaller Lego pieces together, and then we start to arrive at some of the bigger Duplo blocks, and that is the plant itself. And that is where the bulk of the rest of the money sits. So we will continue to pick away at those other phases that are part of the whole treatment solution until we decide how we're going to build the rest. So,
Pause there for a second.
yeah, please.
So, if anybody drove down Shoreline in the last couple months, right? It was ripped up. That was you. That was us. We approved.
Which time?
Well, that too.
Too soon?
Anyway, the one right in front of the old Tonka toys. That was us
Yes.
tying. What we're doing is we're tying water tower here. We have pipes like this. They need to be like this. We're making them like that. So that's thing one. The other thing is, in case you missed what you just said, we already are going to do the second well, or technically the third well, and that will be behind Sorrel Park in the
Yes.
woods, pretty deep in the woods, up on the top. We're going to have a driveway going up, and that's already approved. We've already approved that. That's happening. Hypothetically, if we don't go forward with anything after this, we can always tie in that to what do we call Evergreen as our new well,
If-
or our second well.
If for
number-
some reason you told me to stop now,
Right.
the well, the trunk water mains, all the things that we've done to date still benefit the city, even
Yes.
without a treatment plant.
Right.
The stuff that we have done allows us to distribute the water, treated or not, around the city more quickly. So,
Right.
you know, we've essentially built a water county highway here down 15 as well to connect the two towers that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
And then the additional well, we've got, I reminded Mayor Holt before this meeting that we actually have one well that's been turned off but not fully decommissioned up by 3 Points because the aquifer that well is pulling from has arsenic in it.
Yeah.
And so we went through these machinations in the early 2000s to, you know, can we mix that water? What do we do? You know, a similar process where the Department of Health said, holy cow, there's arsenic in there. And we turned that off and that's no longer in use.
So that's on that island, right?
Yes,
3 points, I think.
on 3 Points.
Sorry, 3 Points, and we're gonna cap that. And that's
We're
part
gonna
of,
completely decommission that.
Right.
Yep, there's a building there and some stuff.
yeah,
So we're gonna, this is more or less like a replacement for that.
Right.
Because we need to have some redundancy and some resiliency in the system.
yeah.
We don't want to be nipping and tucking things too close in terms of how much water can we pull if there is, heaven forbid, more than one fire. You know, or we get into a situation where the towers are falling, water levels are falling, and we can't keep up.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So what does that mean with that old water tower that's been decommissioned up on the island, for example?
The one we call the standpipe,
Uh-huh.
which would be
I
nothing
think
to
by
you,
Donald
to you
Drive.
all. That is in the long-term plan to be decommissioned.
Okay,
So if you remember from some of the other water presentations, we did, 12 years worth of work to improve the water volume going out to the island, both for, you know, pressure for the residents, the residences that are out there, and for fighting fires. That was its own pressure zone. And part of that was because the standpipe is about, I forget, it's like 16 feet too short compared to the other two water towers. So if we just had the pipes open between here and there, that one would be overflowing and emptying our system on a daily basis.
okay.
And it's older, it's not very big. But so we are deferring some of these things that I will say are less important, and taking that one down is less important. We are going to have to address that at some point in our long-term capital plan before it becomes blighted and a dangerous nuisance.
And we will still have Chateau and Sorbo in addition.
Chateau and
to-
Evergreen are the water towers in use, yes.
And those will continue to stay in use once we get the filtration?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And those serve us adequately now. Any questions about timeline, schedule? I'm throwing some things out there in the future, because I say pending because pending funding, pending some approvals. Just a brief overview of project financing. We started with a $36 million bill, thanks to the time that has elapsed, inflation.
26.
20, okay.
Yeah.
We started with a much smaller number,
Then it was 36, now it's 42.
and now we're at 42.
Yes,
We've gotten some money, though.
yes.
There's something to celebrate here.
Yep,
In the last 2 years, we got almost 11 million from the state in direct appropriations and a little under $1 million from the federal government, which some days I wish we could give back, but we're going to use it. That still leaves us with, the math be mathin', a 30 million gap. So that is where, you know, you all and Jesse and Mayor Holt, you know, have been begging and asking and advocating and contacting legislatures, you know, everyone. This is where we have been telling our story, that we need help closing this funding gap. Just a little bit more, I think I kind of talked about this already, but one thing that we haven't talked a lot about in this room is that both sources require a match, both the 10.3 million and the little bit under $1 million from the federal government. However, they allow us to be kind of creative with the match, so there's some double dipping. But this becomes important when we start talking about if we are going to tackle any of the rest on our own. You know, then we get more credit for putting in Mound dollars, is why I bring that up. It doesn't change how much they give us. It just becomes something of note. The phase methodology, I think we've decided that we're not gonna use the word tranche anymore, because we had to explain it to everybody
I
every
like
time
the
we
word
talked about
tranche,
it.
but-
I mean, I don't mind tranche
Made
either.
more sense.
Phase seems to, I
Yeah.
don't have to explain it. So this is how we have things split out into phases. And one of the things to note on there, Project 4, pumps and treatment equipment, that is how we are targeting the federal funds, so that they handcuff us the least. We are going to use that little under $1 million to buy some specific things as part of the plant, so that we can keep things moving a little more quickly. And then the next two things that you will see from us. You've already given us permission to bid the trunk water mains, but we are waiting on some of that stuff. And then the wells and equipment. For the well, that is when I keep talking about cultural resources, we have been unable to secure the site from the State Historic Preservation Office to clear it enough to drill holes for respectful, well-located holes that don't interfere with any sorts of cultural resources things out there, so we know what's under the ground, so we can finish the well design.
And just,
Brian,
Yeah.
to step back, why
Please.
did you just say you wish you could return some of the funding?
Because-
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The federal government used their ability to oversee some of the other things. So when they gave us that a little under $1 million, they do that through, specific departments. Like you hear us talk a lot about the PFA, the Public Facilities Authority. That is the department at the state of Minnesota who oversees the disbursement of all this money. And we have gone through a number of machinations with them about exact wording in the bill. At the first go, when it was first passed in appropriations, there was a pretty big gap between what we understood, our legislators to have intended with what they communicated directly to us and how the PFA was interpreting it. And so that's why we keep talking about what is the path to reimbursement, because they want us to have as-bid prices for some of these things before they'll start giving us the money they've already promised us. And that was something that was not included in the original appropriations bill, but it's how PFA works. Federal government did the same thing, but they said we want to control your whole cultural resources process, and then they pair that up with they don't have enough staff to do a review within the next 18 months. So our project started to grind to a halt, and I think you heard me talk about that maybe a little bit up here, and we figured out a way to guarantee them your monies are being used over here. Also, we have adequate oversight. There were things that Bolton and Mank was fully capable of doing that government agencies said we would like to do, and it's our purview as a, part of the funding mechanism of this project, and we had to find a way to get ourselves out of that.
So because we accepted, or we were fortunate enough
Granted, yeah.
to be granted the funding?
Yeah.
Is that going to put us in a disadvantage going forward? Are we going to have to follow their guidelines forever, or just for this first phase of?
There are some things that come along with it. If anybody has been up here long enough to remember us talking about state aid versus non-state aid, when we use the state aid dollars that are given to us, they apply a different level of oversight. They review the plans. The design timeline gets a lot longer. It's a similar kind of a deal. We are forced to pay things like Davis-Bacon wages, which we do not normally always have to do in the state of Minnesota. So it adds a little bit of cost, but ultimately, the almost $1 million will be worth it. So I shouldn't make a lot of jokes about how serious water treatment is, but when I say some days I wish I could give it back, it's because federal government moves us sometimes at a pretty slow speed, and we're pretty agile compared to them.
we were kind of hoping to be done with the design and everything in the spring, and it's putting a little hiccup in our step.
It's cramping my style, man.
The other
Well, all of
thing,
our styles.
the other thing about the site here, so if anybody's in that neighborhood, which I am, right around the corner, so there's the water tower, that little blue dot there. That's where the well is there, to the left of it. Sorbo Park is to the right there, where the little playground thing is, towards the top. You're gonna come down this new road, and then that's where the treatment plant will be. That's our property there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the one that immediate left, that big square, that's the school districts, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
It's their forest.
So just, my kids used to play in those woods, go mountain biking, walk, take the dogs, whatever, right? You're gonna, as you come down the street, you're gonna see a little bit, because remember, there's all these trees, a lot of these are staying. That big chunk there. So it's gonna be kind of hidden. The kids can still slide on the hill, whatever. They can still go over to the West Tonka site there. Plenty of room left over for anybody that's concerned about the woods, but remember, that is our property to the right, and that's where we decided to put this.
I don't want to correct you, Mayor, but you called that a road. It's more of a driveway.
Yeah.
But it's one car. We're not
Yeah.
striping it. We're not making it 2 cars wide. Probably not gonna have curb and gutter.
Yeah.
Distinction is minor, but if I lived on either side of that, I'd want to hear.
It's not a road.
I'd want to hear it's a driveway.
Yes, it's a
How's that?
driveway. And then it is gonna incline a little bit, so, again, as you're sitting at the bottom and you're looking up, you might see just a, piece of the treatment plant there, if I'm
Yeah.
not, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably won't, I mean, if you go through it, you'll see, of course, in the winter, you'll see the whole thing through the
And-
trees, but.
And in terms of clearing, the red boxes in the depiction of the plant are, big, deep underground tanks. So there will be some carnage
Right,
around there
right.
in terms of trees we tear down, but, we're trying to site that sort of at the top of that knoll back there. We're gonna get back in there a little ways. The idea would be that, it's hidden a little bit.
Okay, and then that dot on the right side, that little blue dot, that's the new well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay,
It has to be 50 feet from everything.
you're right.
So there will be a new well, but the tower, we're gonna reuse the existing tower.
Tower is in adequate shape and is adequate capacity.
And again, like we just said, if hypothetically we just scratch this whole thing, we're already doing the well, right? So we could always just tie in to well, we're gonna tie it in anyway, but we could just tie it into the water tower and just leave it alone, so.
If for some reason you told me to stop, we'd route the well over to that pump building right there.
Right. All right, keep going.
So funding pursuits, we chased a lot of different rumors, but we've made some very formal applications, both to the Minnesota State for appropriations. I like appropriations a lot better than earmarks, but some people know them as that. Same goes for the federal appropriations. I think we've done that almost every year since '21. We've been invited to, or we have invited ourselves to, with multiple legislatures, both in the House and the Senate, trying to get them to come together on bills. That's how we got the 10.3 we have now. The IUP and the PPL, the intended use plan, and the project priority list. That's the ranking of how the state of Minnesota distributes other funds that are available for water treatment and clean water projects. Touching on this takes us back a little bit to the manganese is not a primary contaminant discussion, because if it was lead, if it was arsenic, we would be right at the top of the IUP PPL. Where we are now, I do have another slide that tracks our progress. You've seen that before. We've gone up in the rankings, which means that they are seeing our problem as more and more serious. However, we're not at a point where they will fully grant and fund the remainder of the $30 million gap. But we are high enough on the IUP and the PPL to qualify for state subsidized low-interest loans. And then there are some potential special programs. This kind of comes and goes. I've fielded a number of emails from almost all of you up there. Jesse, Eric, maybe sometimes, hey, I heard about this funding program. Do we qualify for this? And so as a team, we have done a really good job of looking at all of the possible monies that are out there. Unfortunately, most of them we do not qualify for or don't line up with how we're attacking the problem. And there we go with 22, 23, 24. We took a weird dip in 23. Also, a bunch more projects were submitted in 22 as us and other communities were all dinged for this manganese reason. But you can see the points have gone up here from 10 to 5 to 15 to 15. That the points is really the most important thing, is that's the more points they give us shows how seriously they take manganese as a problem.
So is that 15 out of 100 or?
It's not like out of 100. It's just how many points do we score. So it's relative compared to the other projects that are on the list.
So if you pull up the Excel spreadsheet or the PDF of all the projects on there, you'll see that like 24, we're at 135, which was actually a really good jump from 658, because you actually want to be higher on the rank, the top part. But then we went down to 188, which is actually like what the hell? We went down. A lot of it's like these PFAS and all these other projects that are kind of stepping above us now.
Forever chemicals are a little more trendy than manganese.
Right.
No,
But we
it's
didn't lose
true.
It's true. yeah.
Points, which,
We didn't lose points, but we did lose rank.
yeah.
So
Okay.
technically, we want to be 1, and we want to be, I don't know what's the total points you can get. Just whatever.
I've seen projects in like the 30s and 40s.
Right.
But those were also ones that were a lot
Severe.
smaller and like state legislature was immediately fund go,
Oh, okay.
like less than $1 million. not what we're asking for. They factor that in.
Yep.
Any other questions about PFA, IUP, PPL?
So
Want
the
Brian
other
to
thing,
stop
well,
throwing acronyms at
just
you?
the other comment is it, Jesse, 3 million or 4 million right now?
That we're eligible for?
Yeah.
3.
We're eligible for 3, now, that's if, well, they fund it all, which they did fund some, and then other people don't take it in front of us. So, we might get something there.
Well, but those other players are playing the same game that we are,
Well,
right?
yeah.
We would like our entire solution funded.
Right.
So thanks for offering, I mean, since we've been eligible in 24 and 25, we have not taken them up on it. So we have enabled probably other projects to be low-interest loan funded
Right.
by not capturing that bucket.
Yeah.
So funding the remainder of the project, and maybe this is a good place, these are the last 3 slides, Jesse?
No, we got a few more.
Okay, okay.
Did you want to go through all the other
Yeah.
100
Can we,
things we've done?
let's pause right here and jump down to the appendix, just so you guys, we can take a little bit of a memory lane victory lap.
That's the appendix, right?
And our intent here was to share some documentation on a whole bunch of the things that have been done, like this letter
So
to the governor.
This is a letter to the governor that we all signed. Is that last year? We sent it to the governor, we know he did get it. I did not get a meeting with him, but he did get this letter, so we're trying to say how important it is. Andrew Myers, our state rep, sent it, is that to the governor too?
No, that's from Andrew.
Yeah, who does he
Right.
send it to?
It's just
Oh,
a
this is
generally
just a
conservative-
support.
Yeah.
Letter of support that he agrees with our problem.
This was in support of the community grant partnership, or community partnership funding application to Kelly Morrison's office.
Oh, okay. The point of all this is just to show the public what we've been doing. The senator put one in there.
And Johnson Stewart, as a civil engineer, very strong proponent of infrastructure projects.
Yep.
We
So she
appreciate
s-
her.
She sent that to, I guess,
That
Rep
was-
Morrison now. That's it?
That was, this is another one that went to Dean Phillips. This one did result in funding.
So this one, you guys have heard my story on this before, but, we sent them this. I think it was a Sunday or something, and I was texting him and saying, we really need help, and I think we went from 10 down to, was it 3 or 5 or 3? Then we went to 0, then I started freaking out and texting him. And then somehow, anyway, we got back in at 10. So again, this is a couple years ago, but just, again, the point is, we're not sitting on this thing. Another one, this is 2025 January. This is to the governor from our state rep.
And as frustrating as some of this is how some of the pieces of our government work, right? These letters are documentation of, conversations with and meetings with and connections with our, legislatures where they agreed with us that they would like to try and help us fund it.
Keep going down. That's our one of our presentations from 2023. That's the old bill. This is me testifying in 2023. Representative Myers, our old city manager. I got another, that's a Senate file. The other one I think was a House file. This is Senate testimony. Again, this is 2023. You see me on the left. That's just a picture. 2 of our council members showed up to support.
And Kelly Morrison.
And then this is just, again, kind of some of the verbiage that we gave them, or like kind of the one pager. You can kind of keep going through that. This is just another handout that we gave them. They want handouts every time you come and testify of what your issue is.
I feel like those testifying moments are real. It's the very definition of explain it to me like I'm 5. Like you have to start over every time
Well, you get
with different committee members.
2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was very fast. And they
have to
cut
make
you
it-
off. I mean, it's, you
You
get
have
it
to make a
in.
good elevator pitch.
This is just, our water tab on, this is, I think, our old website, but we try to kind of keep our water tab updated as there's something to update on there. That's our letter to the residents back in 21, I think.
Yeah, that's the initial manganese notification.
That's just Minnesota Department of Health. If you want to learn more about manganese, it's on there. Storm water treatment options. Again, all this you can get at Minnesota Department of Health. If you just do MDH and then manganese, you'll find all this. That's, if you want to click the, you don't do it now, but you can click the link to watch it. 2025 update, we just did this in March, so our goal, or at least our council's goal is every March to do a water treatment update, state of the water update. Again, partly why we're doing this is, and we'll get to in a second, is because we're potentially at a standstill here. Again, Megan, you can kind of keep going through that. Again, more lobbying. So this is actually this year, I think.
Yep.
We met with the senator on the right, the rep on the left. That's when we were down there testifying again for this year. The other ones were 2023.
That's when you handed out the Mounds bars, right?
Screenshot another one of me holding the bottle of water.
You
2025.
look just as angry in that one, too.
Yeah, it's hard when you're screenshotting. Is that almost it?
So that was, those are 2 separate presentations given to the WCC shortly after
Oh, okay.
lobbying efforts were made. Just sort of, I think it's interesting, sorry to jump in, but I think it's interesting if you do go look through them. A lot of the numbers are the same, but some of the times, the timeframes are different because that was 2 years ago, but it demonstrates those numbers jumping up on the costs going forward. We're sort of doubling down on all the efforts that was made prior to 2021, but or you can go back and watch Brian's presentations each year, and I think if we come back for another State of the Water next year, the number keeps climbing, so.
All the
sort
costs
of
will go
just
down.
For your information.
Okay, and then while you're getting us back to the top, we just pulled every newsletter since I've been mayor. I didn't go back before that. I know this has been a problem since 21, but we've made a cognizant effort to put some kind of water update in there. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little, but just saying something about what are we doing. So 8 out of 10 newsletters in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I guess, we've mentioned water.
And just for clarity, those are mailed with the water bills?
No, these are
Those
just
come out
mailed to
separately?
everybody's residence.
Separately,
So
okay.
There's 4,500 roughly houses, so everybody gets this whether they want it or not. And there is an update, right? Again, sometimes very, very, very high level, hey, we're working on it, it's still, our top priority, but my point is, we are, trying to stay on top of this, and I think people know it's still an issue, so.
So that brings us to today,
Yep,
if I may.
yep.
When I say this, it's going to sound like my idea. It's not. I'm simply the mouthpiece for all of the conversations we have been having behind closed doors. This started as whispers, turned into rumors, become conversations. What does it look like if we are to fund the rest of this somehow by ourselves? If we are not going to get any money from external sources, and it's starting to feel like, based on what you all are asking me, we're 4 years into this. It's time for a serious discussion about what is the impact to the City of Mound and the residents if this funding gap isn't going to be closed for us. Now, we're not committing ourselves to anything tonight. There is no attached resolution. This is simply for information. This is simply to move us forward in terms of how long can we sit on our hands? And I think these next couple of slides answer some of those questions. Now, there are a lot more details to be hashed out. This is still very high level. Noah's here if you want to ask a bunch of detailed financial questions. But what does it look like to fund the remainder of the project? So,
One extra
yes,
thing.
please.
So again, when we were doing the newsletter, I wanted to put this date, July 22nd, as an opportunity for people to come out or to watch us later. And the the word on the street, austerity, right, federal level, right? State, 2 years without a bonding bill. Now, last year, they fixed our first amount of, with the verbiage,
Yeah, but it took us a while.
but it took us a year to figure that out. So to actually use our money that the 10 million. What I'm hearing, just as, a mayor dealing with politicians, is it's not great. We're not just handing money out left and right. I think we're pretty fortunate that we got the 10, pretty fortunate we got the 1. We're in it for another 15 million on the federal side. Now, remember, when you submit for 15, that doesn't mean you're gonna get all 15. A lot of times they'll whittle it down. I think we submitted for 4 and got the almost 1. So what I wanted to do, and then of course I brought it to our community, or our finance committee as well, is there a way that we can do like a plan B? We can't keep sitting here waiting for mom and dad at the government to give us money. Maybe we can, and if that's the overall feeling of the council and the public, then we keep doing it. We keep waiting, do your own thing at home, whatever. But I think it's at least time to have a conversation of what would it look like if we did this on our own. It's not gonna look great per se, but it's time to at least have an adult conversation about it. So anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. That's all great. It's perfect. So we currently have about 30 million in the wind, right? We're asking for more money, but in order to complete the water treatment solution, that's what the investment we're looking for. So the PFA low interest loans that we are eligible for, they're between 2 and 3% interest, which is pretty low still. It's a 20-year term. The PFA loan advisor highly recommends an updated utility rate study. We're going to talk about that again in just a second. But probably one of the more important things, because there has been a lot of time spent at this podium and in this room talking about water rates. But one of the ways to pay for this could be water rates. There's a number of ways to, dice this tomato and spread it out among Mound residents. But for now, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go straight to what is the impact on an average monthly residential utility bill, partially because this is how we first addressed the total dollar amount at the time, whatever it was, 26 million in the original water treatment study. But if the current average is $117 a month, and that is us breaking it into monthly, even though I know you all are billed quarterly, the projected increase is between $44 and $47 a month. So that is, if we want to pay for the rest using just water rates. It's a big number, but we need to put it out there for discussion to talk about.
And that's super high level as of right now.
Yes,
Now, that's your average water, 14,000 gallons.
absolutely.
78% of us are on the average, 14,000. I looked at mine. My daughter likes to take a lot of baths, and my son, a lot of showers. 21,000 gallons is what I use.
In a
my
quarter?
house. That's average for the 3-year average.
Okay.
So I am above average. Now, I'm paying more, right? Because it's tiered out, and that's how it works. But again, I want to stress this is super high level. We haven't done a study. We haven't done a rate study on exactly what this would be. The other thing too is this is the water portion. This isn't the sewer that, so I know your total water bill, you times that by 3 is more than that. This is the water portion alone.
And the other 2 bullet points there, the debt service and the operations and maintenance, just speaking to what exactly are we funding with increases to the water rates. And when we say debt service, I'm probably not authorized to go too far down this path, but PFA does give us some options to wrap in, existing water debt. I'm sure you've heard a lot from Noah, and when we have our annual conversations about the budget, that we have had some water debt that's been falling off from funding previous projects, but they will sometimes allow us to wrap some of that existing funding in so that we only have one loan payment instead of still tracking, this loan payment plus the waterfall debt that we had previously incurred. Again, very high level.
Yeah.
No real details on that other than it is an option. And then when we talk about operations and maintenance, there are some things that are going to go down, like flushing, but also the cost to run a plant is something that we're kind of scratching the surface on. We do some things now that are plant-like. We visit these pump houses and we swap out chemicals. We have injection systems, but running a plant takes a little bit more than that. We will have to have, Ryan, you're already licensed, right? Yeah, so Ryan is already the appropriate level class of operator to run the plant that we have, but that does invite us to a sort of a different level of staff needs. There has to be redundancy. Any questions about that, other than shell shock?
Are the estimates based on the 2 or 3% rate? No.
That's the range, between 3.
Okay.
Well, the
I meant
monthly,
the
was
monthly
it,
estimate that you provided, though, is it based on a 2% or 3% rate?
That's why there's a range.
Yeah, that's the range.
Oh,
2 to
40.
3. There's not
Okay,
a
so
lot
you're
of
doing
play
4
in
to
that
47, okay,
service
just wanted to make sure. All
at
right.
the 20 years, but that's approximately what it comes
Okay.
out on the average utility bill.
And it's 2 to 2.6 is the actual numbers right now, but we're saying 3 because by the time if we did this, it might be 3 anyway.
The
Or it might
worst
be,
we've been quoted is 3. We expect it, well, we hope it'll be lower, but
Right.
Always. But we're planning for, again, with the full transparency, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that we could expect. I'm just waiting there to see if anybody else has questions, concerns, things that you would like us to talk about right now.
I guess, maybe a question, but like you said, like a number of ways to dice the tomato, and a utility, paying it through your utility rates is one way to do it. And then I understand that to qualify for the PFA loan, you need to have a utility rate study so we can show them how we're going to pay back the loan. So that all kind of rolls into the price of the loan. I get that.
Yes.
But what are some other cities like, I don't know if you want to call it like best practices or something, but I can't imagine other common ways to pay that back other than through the
Do you want
utility
to talk
bill.
about that, or you want me to touch on those? I mean, we could.
That would suit us.
We
you know?
could levy for it, right? We try to put it on property taxes, like, all of the ways that costs carry back to the residents, that are divvied up differently. The water rates are mostly dependent upon water use. So for the purposes of this conversation today, that makes a ton of sense.
So I guess I don't need to know the other, that this is the most common.
It is.
Obviously.
It is.
Okay.
no, before you go too far, you said be put on the levy or the property tax. Are you talking about just the study?
I'm talking about, there are ways to pay for the plant that way.
Like divide up the
The
20
study,
years and add it to the levy as well.
and maybe,
You're super high level on that comment.
super high level. This is where you ask me any more
Because it's
questions,
not
I'm gonna
that
go
simple.
Ehlers.
Yeah.
Ehlers, that's, we're gonna bring them in, because that's the part where I defer to the other experts. But the point is that there are, within those different mechanisms, the equity and, I'll just say the ways that you dice the tomato, right, and you divvy that back to the users and
Yeah.
to the residents, shows up differently. And so, today, we're talking about, this is how much water you use.
Yeah.
This is what your rate is. If you want to go down those other paths, you need a rate study.
I guess the only reason I ask is like, I realize like, 2% is a really low interest rate, but if we save money with a smaller loan and saving interest, residents will save money not paying that back. So I mean, it's just kind of interesting how that could all.
Those are all,
Breakdown.
yeah, it's multivariate calculus, right? And those are all good considerations.
I have a question. When we do this utility rate study, do they look at the payment of our bills? Because, we have notoriously a lot of delinquent water bills. So even if we're adding it to the water utility rate, given the delinquency rates we have in Mound, would that really look favorably upon us?
Get those every
I
year
don't
though,
think
right?
they
We
look at
assess for
delinquency.
them,
Yeah,
put them on the property
Just look at
taxes.
whether or not they're paid at
Yeah, I
all,
know
right?
we-
Might get paid a year late, but I think we get paid.
Yeah, I mean, we assess.
True.
So we ultimately do collect that through taxes, so that's just revenue for the utility rate study. It's about 5%, well, 4 to 5% that ends up being assessed for the year for total utilities. So from the first report you see in September to the final one, it drops down dramatically, so.
So the uncaptured cost there is your time, right?
Your time, we
Because we have to file those with the county to recapture them.
essentially, and plus,
Yeah.
we're about 100% collection of that eventually. How we wouldn't collect it would be if it's a forfeited property, but that's extraordinarily rare.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense? Sure.
Yeah, makes sense. I just wanted to
So,
know.
Jesse, maybe you want to bump to the next slide.
I'd like to just make a comment. Well, I think all the residents really appreciate this initial conversation regarding how we can fund this going forward. I mean, this is $30 million, and I feel like this is not enough information for anybody to make an informed decision. I know it's high level, but I mean, going forward, could we break this out into some numbers that people, actually residents would understand so they can,
That's what a utility rate study would do.
Yeah.
oh, that's what that'll tell us?
We,
That's what
we can get
that
very granular.
In the end
Okay.
here, he'll ask for next steps. That's one of the next steps if we want to go that route.
Okay, you mean
would
if we
be-
want to go the route to take care of it ourselves?
Well, yes. That doesn't mean we got to decide that tonight. I'm just saying, eventually, unless you think we're going to get all the money straight up, right? We're probably going to need to go to the PFA to get money anyway, and you have to do a rate study to get money from them. It is reimbursable through the loan. So either way, we kind of are probably going to have to do a rate study, even if we get 90% funded. If we got to get that extra 10, we would, and we did a loan through them, we would have to do a rate study.
Well, maybe I don't understand what a rate study is. Can you explain, what does that tell us?
So the purpose of having a rate study would be to bring Ellers back. We should go out for RFPs, but we've been working with Ellers. And they will look at how it needs to be structured, what the options are for how it could be structured. So the detail that you're asking for would be in a rate study.
Got it.
We could have generated a bunch of that stuff today, but none of us working on this in the background wanted to show you anything that would then subsequently change, because I don't want that coming back on me when I'm wrong. That's what a rate study would answer for us. So the recommended next steps, I had Jesse skip past it, but we've talked a bunch about continuing with the existing phased projects, how the things that we are currently designed and under construction are worthwhile, whether we build the plant or not. We are trying to get to the date where we can collect all of those $12 million in funds. There is a ticking clock on some of that, but construction only has to be started by July of '27. I'm not worried about that, but I need to start saying that date now, so that if I'm back here in June of '27 asking you for permission on something, you guys aren't beating me over the head with where were you with this 2 years ago, Brian?
Right.
Because we're watching those dates, Jesse is, Noah is, we're making sure that we're not going to lose that funding over a procedural gaffe. But we've been in a little bit of a holding pattern in how are we going to close the funding gap, right? So we're going to keep moving forward to spend the dollars we've already gotten. So we'll keep asking for money, we'll keep submitting to the IUP PPL, but we're also recommending that we should engage, a financial consultant to do the rate study. And to do, and I think, how long ago was the last rate study?
So we did complete the last one in June of 18, and that's where we kind of developed a plan to get ourselves out of the hole. So we'd be adding, as you said, $30 million in debt into one fund. That fund currently is still negative cash, and it's not cash flowing, it's debt. So our lender's gonna wanna know how we're gonna repay the funds. And that's where that would come in. There'd also be a lot of brainstorming, as Brian said, how to lessen the impact as best we can.
And will that affect our current AA?
It'll have no effect. We still have our long-term financial management plan in place.
Okay.
We still have a really, really solid fund balance in our general fund, which is a big factor, especially as we move forward with bonding for the streets. That's gonna come into play 26, 27, 28, as Brian and Matt and Ryan step up that process.
Okay.
So just to,
So on this timeline of, if we decide to go on and do the rate study, what does the timeline look like when we actually start building this new facility and have it up and operating? Because I think that's what, 5 years out, maybe?
no.
We're 3 at least.
3?
Mhm.
If we, first of all, if we say, yes, we want to do a rate study, the 5 of us, tonight, or,
Yeah,
that's not, they still got to come back at the next meeting and say, well, this is what a rate study would look like.
sure,
The RFP would go out to whoever.
yeah.
And then we go out there, and then by November 1st, the goal is that is done by that. Now, we're trying to get, we submitted for 7.5 for the community project and 15 for
the congressionally directed spending. If you can't, those aren't on top of each other. So the most we're gonna get is 15, right? So it's like we applied for 2, but really it's 15. They're gonna come together. And then again, if we got all 15, we'd be like blessed, right? We'd be amazing. But if, it's probably, hopefully it happens, but if they whittle that down, or they don't do it, or in the last, for sure last year, if not the last couple of years, they just do a continuing resolution, they don't even pass the budget, and, Congress has to pass it by September 30th.
Sure.
Uh,
Well,
We'll see if they do.
my
Hopefully they do.
question was just, we go to the public and we say this, we need to act now.
Yep.
It sounds like we're acting now, but now isn't when it's going to finally happen. Like, when are they gonna not have to buy water,
Well,
That's what people want to know.
That's gonna be a little
So
bit of
that's what he
time.
said, 3 years, right?
You said 3 years before you flush the old system, hook it all up, we're good to go.
I think it's 3 years before we're drinking water out of the plant,
Right.
at least.
Yeah.
I think, it's just
It's good to know that,
keep
yeah.
people knowing
Yeah.
what the time frame is.
I mean, we've done a lot of progress, we've started this, but yes, even if we just say tonight, let's just get this done, and we,
It's still 3 years.
It's still 3 years, yes. And that's just,
But if we
it takes time to
don't,
build stuff.
Then it could be
If
longer.
we don't, then it's another, then, originally it was 26, then it was 36, then it was,
42.
42 or whatever.
Yeah,
Inflation, so-
Time is money.
yeah,
As long before that, it was like 16.
yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yeah. Is that your last slide?
This is my last slide, yes.
Okay. Let's pause there. I guess, does council want to talk about it quickly before we let the public talk, or? We're not making a decision right now, but do you want to let the public talk first?
Sure.
Does anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything top of mind for me.
Okay. We'll do that, and then we'll bring you back up here.
I'll vacate.
Yeah, stay here, stay in the house. All right. If you want to come up, hold on. I'm going to open our public comment section. Please give us your name and address.
Hello, my name is Johan Schumann-Danielsen. I reside at 6039 in Mound, 6039 Beechwood Road, sorry, in Mound.
Yep.
So I want to say thank you to the city, the council, the mayor, for the work you've been doing on the water, because that's a big problem, and I appreciate it. To share, also my water is also red or black, depends on the day.
He's my neighbor.
Just some ideas. I might be kicking open doors, so please bear with me. I was thinking, what about sharing the cost with neighboring cities? I mean, like smaller cities, like Spring Park, they have the same problem. I would be surprised they don't have any manganese problem. Maybe that they would be willing to piggyback with the city of Mound to offer a common solution. Therefore, they have found, we have found, we pull the funds together. Yes, the plant would be bigger, be maybe more expensive, but the more the merrier. That could be one option.
Okay.
I'm thinking also Minnetrista, which, even though Minnetrista is big, but maybe not the whole Minnetrista, the one that borders Mound, like Sanders Lake, for instance. That could be an option. I see on the slide, and that's a cool option to switch monthly. Just FYI, my house, we had a 30-year mortgage on the house, paid monthly. We decided to pay bi-weekly, and in 22 years, we're done paying.
Yep,
So
yep.
we'll just have 1 year to go, and we're done paying. So I think that would be a great option, because the more we can reimburse, the quicker we can reimburse, that. The quicker we can reimburse, the faster, the lower the cost. Another thing I was thinking is, as a resident, it'd be a hard pill to swallow to say, I have to pay for more water just for the manganese, where the treatment at my place is already costly. I have to pay for water softener. I know because mine broke recently, so I have to pay for it. I have to pay for salt, haul the salt. That's a pain in the rear. I understand the option was taken off the table to not add water softening. However, if water softening were added to the cost, I think it would be more palatable for people to say, yes, it's more expensive, but you don't have to haul salt anymore. You don't have to buy a water softener. You don't have to buy reverse osmosis system. So sorry, you have to pull yours down, Jason. But that would be something that people would be able to relate to, and they feel, oh yeah, that's a win. Even though it's more costly, but that's a win. And that will extend the life of my appliances, even though I don't have to have a water softener for it. So That's it. Those were my points.
Okay, just
Thanks
a-
for your time.
Yeah, and you can sit down if you
Thank
want.
you.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment on that. The softening, I mean, it was dramatically higher. The other thing is, the reason why we didn't want to do that is you're softening everything. In other words, your lawn, right? Every time you wash your car, you know, you're softening your, maybe not a bad thing to soften your car, I guess, but it was dramatically higher. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was just not feasible. Plus, I mean, a lot of people do, I mean, most people on Mound, a good chunk of them, I'd say, have hard water, so they're gonna soften their water as it is. And then the joining cities, we did actually look at that. I know Jesse actually talks to Jasper and Minnetrista constantly. It's just not something that we did. I don't know if you wanna expound on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the options that was considered in the study, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is one of the options that was considered in the study.
Mhm.
And we've talked about similar things before, like Spring Park at one point asked if they could buy water from us.
Right.
But they do have a treatment plant, same with Minnetrista, but neither of those are sized to include the kind of water that Mound consumes.
Okay,
So it would have to be essentially a new plant there,
right,
you know, for them to serve them and us, in general terms, them and us.
okay.
That makes sense.
Yep, thanks. All right, anybody else wanna come up? All right, can you give us your name and address?
Hi, I'm Amy Farrar. I'm at 4638 Manchester.
Okay.
And I apologize in advance if you've already discussed this ad nauseum amongst yourselves, but I feel like I need a little bit of clarification in terms of what the state and federal government told you is the reason that they won't fund this. Like, I'm not blaming you at all. It seems like you've done a tremendous amount of work toward this and you're very frustrated. But when I talk about this with other residents, that's the main question that everybody has is, you know, what is the holdup? What is taking so long? Why won't they fund this? Is it because the funds don't exist or because, you know, there are so many other cities looking for funding or a combination of all of the above?
So back when I was saying that there's like a PDF or like an Excel spreadsheet of all the other cities that have needs, right? And so what happens is you go down to the state and on the Senate side and the House side, right? So that's those pictures of us testifying, right? So you go there and then you get, 2 to 5 minutes to make your case. And it's kind of ironic because I'm saying, hey, I need $26 million, the first time I went down there, right? And you get 2 to 5 minutes to ask for 26 million. And then the second I get off the stage and I talk to the people, that run the state behind the scenes, right? They're like, oh, we might be able to get you 10 or, 10.3 is the limit we're gonna get. And I was like, well, why did it just even say 26 million? It doesn't make any sense. But they have to justify, okay, well, if Mound's gonna get 10, well then what about Spring Park or what about Excelsior? So our rep, they have to do, prioritize these things, as well as the senator, she has more cities. So that's just our 2 people that we go to. Now, I'm not throwing them under the bus, because they're fighting for us, and they actually did get us the 10, right? On the federal side, they got us the 1, and again, we're fighting for it, but at the end of the day, there's only so much money to go around, and there was, 17 people, I think, one of the times I went down there. So 17 cities got about, 5 minutes to make their case for all this money. And you add it all up, it's crazy. We just cannot, as taxpayers in general, pay for all these things. It's just, now, again, this is where I get a little frustrated, because there's $17 billion at the state of Minnesota a couple of years ago that's not there anymore, right? Pretty frustrated personally, because I only needed 30. It solves all our problems for 30. And somehow they spent 17 million of a surplus, or 17 billion, sorry, with a B. 30 million is not a lot on 17 billion. So frustrating, but that, again, yes, through the newsletters, email your congressperson, email your senator, email your rep, your governor, email us, call. I mean, some people do, some people don't. I talk to them, I go, well, how many people reached out? Oh, I got 10 people, If we all care,
reach out.
Right. I
And
think
don't stop.
I think it would be helpful if people knew, like, I don't know if you can even figure this out, but like how much money is even available to give out to cities? How many cities have asked for X amount of money?
We have the
And
list, it's on there. yeah.
What, and the other question I have is like in comparison to other surrounding cities that have water treatment
Yep.
plants,
Yep.
like how do we compare? Like how did they get the funds and how fast did they get them? And
So-
when did they ask for them?
I'll say that in a second, when you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for coming up, I appreciate it.
Thank you. One thing, Mayor.
Yeah.
It might help the residents to understand how many cities are actually looking for money once this manganese became an issue. I know you're talking 17, but there's a lot more
No,
cities.
that was 17, just projects.
Projects.
There's 60-some, I think that, I don't know if this is the first year or the second year, there was 60-some cities. I gotta think there's a lot more now. The one thing though, with that though, is not, some of them have treatment plants and they're just getting overloaded. We don't have a treatment plant, we never have. So yes, we do the fluoride and chlorine mandated by the state, drops per billion or whatever it is. But we've never had an actual treatment plant. So yes, other people have the same problem. Google manganese Minnesota, you'll find some of the other ones, but we jumped on the we need money fast train, and we went down there and testified, right away. I think if we wouldn't have done that, I don't think we would have got that first 10. And again, I don't know, it might be dried up down there, I don't know. I mean, we're fighting, I talk to them all the time, our senator and our rep, so. The other thing too is, remember, the governor sets the budget of what can be spent, right? So it's up to the governor as the executive of that office to say, hey, we're gonna make a priority of this, this, and this. That's why we sent a letter to the governor and had other politicians do that for us as well. When it finally came down to it, between the governor and the House and the Senate, they decided we're not gonna do a bonding bill this year. Last year they didn't as well. So no money for us, right? That's how we're gonna get it, is through the bonding bill. The year before that, we did get it through the cash bonding bill, but then the verbiage wasn't right, so we had to wait a whole year to fix the verbiage.
Our
And
neighbors.
here we are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Our neighboring cities too were, kind of in the same boat as we are right now. It's like they're moving forward on their projects, but they weren't, 100% funded.
So on that, Minnetrista, last month, they just approved a $20 million treatment plant. With some of the pipes and whatever on top of that, water mains and stuff. I think it was like, what, 26 million roughly?
Roughly, they're still waiting on their bid opening, which is gonna be next month, but yes, they're moving forward.
And the good thing is, if, let's just say they're doing it, we can kind of see, okay, well, they just did it. What are the bids coming back at? I mean, if they're coming back 30% less, well, then that changes everything, right? Now, if they're coming back 30% more, then we're in a bigger problem.
And is Minnetrista funding theirs themselves?
They're funding themselves, they just
They're
voted.
not relying on money,
They-
federal money.
They did just like what we're doing right now today, is that they were down there testifying, right, I think it was before or after me, for sure once. And, they were begging for money just like we were. I think theirs was was it 18 that they're asking for?
Yeah, it was around 20.
18, 20, somewhere there. Again, we were 30, so they decided to go through it themselves. They had a kind of a workshop, or call it an open house, kind of like what we're doing here, let residents talk. Again, these are super high levels, so don't take this home to the bank, but if they proceed with this, right, so they went up for bid, so it's not done yet, but let's just say it does cost 20, plus the other stuff. Their water bill will go from, the water portion only, will go from about 30 to about 96. Minnetrista, right? So maybe they don't know that yet because they just did it. But, and again, it's super, super high level. And again, ours goes from what, 50 to 95. So we'd be really close, roughly to where they're going to be if we did our own thing too. Now, Minnetonka Beach, as you drive to Wayzata, right?
you go through Minnetonka Beach, you see that big concrete structure. That's their new water treatment plant. I've talked to Mayor Pagano there. They actually just sent us, what they did. 2024 went from 97 roughly a month to 2025 will be 172. And what they did is they just did a line item water treatment plant cost so that each resident knows. Again, super high level on these facts, but
So
we're not
they
off of
funded
what our
them-
neighbors
They
are.
funded it themselves as well.
Minnetonka
They're not
Beach-
getting- They're not getting fully funded projects.
Yeah,
Right.
what was it, 6,000 or 5,000 a resident or something?
About
Yeah,
5,700 a year.
5,700 a year for 25 years?
20. But yeah,
years?
And if you'd like, I can
Now, remember,
speak-
Minnetonka Beach is a lot different clientele than Mound, but just, Minnetrista, more similar,
Right.
But Minnetrista is also growing.
They are growing, but remember, this still affects everybody that lives there.
Yeah, but I mean, as more people, it will,
They can't lower, that's, they got about 10,000, we got about 10,000. It's still affecting even the old residents, it's not just the new ones coming. Just because you got new ones, it doesn't lower, now we got more people in our town, we get to lower it. What are we gonna
So,
say?
well, I was just going to speak real quickly since you mentioned the bonding bill and everything. So the MMB ended up saying that the state had about $750 million to bond for this year. There were $3 billion in requests just for drinking water for 2025. And that's just projects that are on the list. That's projects that have been submitted prior to 2025. So that's 981 projects. That's not 981 cities, but that's projects. There's more than that on the clean water side, which is your sewer stuff. And then add into that every bridge and road that gets submitted. So of that 17 billion or whatever there was, there's probably at least that much in projects submitted each year just for capital requests. And I think Brian can speak to it, but I think there are already more than $3 billion requested for 2026 for clean water for projects that weren't funded in 2025. So it's incredibly competitive.
Yeah. And the other thing too is we do roll that, so the next year, we're already gonna submit, we asked our engineer Bolton to submit for the next year. As they come out, I get an email and saying, hey, it's time to put it in for the next year, and we do that and copy and paste and stuff, so. And then, of course, we're trying on the federal side or any other place. I get these random emails, that there's other ideas or, we shoot them all, as they come, so. Really, it's federal or state that's gonna play out.
Jesse and I were thinking along the same lines. I was just gonna ask if you wanted some numbers, but 981 projects on the list. 37 manganese projects.
Okay.
Specifically, and some of those are repeats, like some cities have manganese treatment plant, manganese replacement well, that kind of thing. So there might be a city in there 4 or 5 times with the word manganese, but 37 manganese projects are part of that, 2.995 billion.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of projects on there. Also, not to throw shade, but the bottom 7 projects are Minnetrista, Tonka Bay, Orono, Minnetrista, and Tonka Beach. So, or Minnetonka Beach. So yeah, that's just how they're ranked out.
Yeah.
In the current list.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. All right, does anybody else want to come up? We want to hear both sides. If you don't want us to do this, let me know. Can you give us your name and address?
Dan Nestler, 3037 Dundee. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity. New resident of Mound, moved here about a year ago. As a career, I do water treatment, so I know Bolton and Mike very well. So I'm gonna probably ask you some hard questions, Brian. And not expecting answers on stuff here, but just hoping to ask some questions. I can follow up with stuff later.
Yeah, yeah.
Tried to go through what's available on the public record. Just curious, you mentioned alternative study. What was all done for an alternative study for water treatment versus well siting study?
Brian, you're gonna have to come on.
Yeah. So the study is publicly available. Happy to make sure you get a copy of that if you've not seen it. But there's a number of alternatives in there. There's a whole discussion on treatment processes, but it boiled down basically to package filter plants. And a discussion on a single centralized package filter plant or smaller package filter plants at both the water towers. is the gist of it.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yep. So, or something on the way.
Exactly.
You might as well stay up here. Have we done a well siting study for the proposed well?
No.
Done any test well or anything?
Nope, we can't get permission to do that until we can do geotech.
Okay.
We've been waiting on the State Historic Preservation Office to clear the geotech. I will remind everybody that the mound, in the name of the city, are burial mounds, right? So when we talked a bunch earlier about the federal government hamstringing our process, we have to notify all the tribes. There has to be a minimum amount of time for them to comment, and they have to come in and make sure that all of those processes are done, with respect to their history and desires. So that's why we've been waiting to, I think actually they're clearing some trees out there right now so that we can get a drill rig back there to poke some holes to finish the well siting study.
Okay. What aquifer?
I don't know that off the top of my head, because we've got wells in 2 different aquifers already. But as you know, some of that is compromised, and you can only get permits for new wells and some of them in certain places. So it depends on what we find down there.
Okay. And that's one I'm kind of curious about is, as you get further into that on the well side, looking at potential for sourcing from the Tunnel City. I believe current is Prairie du Chien and the Drift Aquifer, and looking at nearby communities, and if the Tunnel City's got less manganese, if it helps us on the need for treatment of at least a portion of the water.
Yeah, there is a discussion in this study too about just drilling new wells and not treating at all. But at this point, that seems irresponsible because we would have to do more than one new well. And also with the presence of the iron and the other things, we have gunk in the water already that needs to be removed. And so this is sort of the tipping point for treatment,
Sure.
really.
And just thinking it from the standpoint of, it's a big bill, it's an unfunded mandate. If you get new wells and they don't have the manganese, we've at least eliminated the health-based guidance risk of the water that's being delivered. And over time, maybe there's money for a treatment plant. As Brian noted, all the distribution system is in place to be able to make that happen. Previous person hit up neighboring communities. How far along in design are we, Brian? Like, is that a class 5 estimate for 30 million, or?
We're on hold because
Okay.
we can't do any geotech.
Or I'm just, so the number we've got, would you call that a class 5 cost estimate, class 3?
I guess I don't know what you mean by the classes.
A American Association of Cost Engineers.
I'd be interested
Like
in
class
what
5,
the
I'd say
definition is of that, but
minus 50 plus 100.
not
Class
there.
4.
Not there.
Okay.
These are IUP, PPL level estimating numbers at this point.
Okay.
Because the design of the plant isn't far enough along to certify
Okay.
it to the questions you're asking.
Okay. That's good, because I think just looking at it, I think there is opportunity for that number to be down as design gets further along.
Frankly, I hope so, but also I'm never going to commit to that in public because the dollars just go up. So
Under promise, over deliver.
you got me all figured out.
And then last, any concern about both wells being sited so close together in terms of interference that they both need to be operated at the same time?
No.
Okay.
That's what I have my expert for, essentially. Yep, sorry. Yep, that's what we have our expert for. There's enough room over there too to operate them far enough apart. That piece of property we were looking at is not necessarily super small in terms of wells. For siting the plant, it's not huge, but aquifer influence and things like that, we've got some space, and we have some other sites if we needed to go somewhere else.
Okay.
So there are some contingencies.
Okay. And then lastly, I just offer to the council, if there's ever questions as a resident who does this, I'm very interested in what's happening, and if it'd be beneficial as a technical resource, I'd be happy to volunteer my time.
Yeah, do you have a card?
What's your name again?
Dan Nestler, N-E-S-L-E-R. I can get you some cards too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take Jesse's card and shoot him an email.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Dan, you're going to inspect the plant for me, right? While it's being constructed?
Okay, anybody else want to come up? All right. All right, give us your name and address, please.
Karen Redkey, 1742 Rest Haven Lane.
Okay.
Does the treatment center, does that take out all the contaminants like a reverse osmosis?
That's a really good question. Reverse osmosis is a specific process that takes out some specific things. The plant we're talking about is not RO, reverse osmosis, just because, and I want to be sort of technically clear here, we're not talking about building an RO plant because RO also softens, but we will be filtering and microfiltering for things. So they take out similar things at the level that we are talking about doing the treatment and the filtering, but they're slightly different processes.
So, excuse me, would they take out like the PFASs? and
So
that?
we don't currently have issues with PFAS here on the west side of the Twin Cities.
Okay.
We're far enough away from the home of 3M and where all those things leached into the water. Most of those forever chemicals have pretty distinct point sources,
Okay,
and we don't have any known point sources here.
okay,
Good question, though. That's been in the news a bunch lately.
okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
What reverse osmosis system did you get?
Good question. I have no idea. I just bought it, paid $1,600 for it.
Did you install,
I have an RO system.
She asked me what type I have.
did you
Which
install
one?
it yourself, or?
No, no. God.
I can tell you that my RO
She's gonna-
system.
Okay, thank you.
It's-
have to.
You gotta just like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
okay.
It takes everything out.
Okay, anybody else want to come up and say something?
I'd like to piggyback off what you just discussed, Brian. Can you just refresh everybody? Will this take out the arsenic, the chlorine, and the fluoride, or does this?
So we are mandated by the state to add chlorine and fluoride. So it won't be removing those things. We'll be actually adding them to the water to make sure that they are there at the levels that are mandated for us. I don't believe this filter is designed specifically for arsenic, but also we've abandoned the well that has the high level of arsenic, so we shouldn't have that issue. But there are some very detailed technical specs on the, the sizes of the filter and the number of microns and exactly what it removes that I can bring to this group if that's the discussion we want to have.
I mean, I think everybody would love to hear that.
For
Just
sure.
to make sure this is going to do what we're expecting it to do and people don't have misguided expectations.
Yeah, in terms of iron and manganese, that is exactly what this is designed for. All right, and we can talk about the type of filter and the type of plant in comparison to the things that we have tested and seen in our water, and we'll be doing a similar panel when we establish a new well.
But you would be able to get like a more, not specific, but like a more elaborate list of like everything that it's going to remove?
Yeah, Jesse, did you see the pilot plant run?
Like it said, manganese,
that-
iron, and bacteria.
Have we
but
done
if
that yet?
had more,
Yeah, I believe so.
So we have like a trailer mounted, like a mini treatment plant
right, yeah.
with multiple processes inside of it, and we can run the water through it. The one sort of unknown here is the new well where we're bringing in water from a slightly different source potentially. So we need to make sure that the treatment is dialed in, the filtering is dialed in for exactly what's in the source water at the time that we're
but we
bringing it through
could
the
put a
plant.
name on more of the contaminants that would be removed, just so we had a list and could answer. I mean,
Yeah.
it would help the five of us answer more questions, I
I,
think, too.
I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think most of that is in the treatment study, but I will get back to you with that specifically because it's pertinent to the conversation now.
Okay.
Those are also reasons maybe for me to bring along Mr. Groutman next time. If you guys want to grill him on some of that stuff, that is what he's doing for us on this project.
So the mobile treatment could be like, get video of that or have it out and just make sure we're putting it on like our social media and our website and
Yeah,
everything.
definitely. No, as we get closer to this, that might be a thing that I ask them to roll out again, and we could do a little bit of a dog and pony show out of that. If that's helpful.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
So, comments?
I'm just curious, I think some of the things that we heard on Saturday, when we were at Spirit of the Lakes, or I can get rid of my bottled water. We need to make sure that that expectation would be described in the discussions we just had with Bolton Mink. That, is this what you're going to get when you turn on your tap?
You asking me?
I mean, yeah, what are we filtering out is what the discussion
Come
just
back up and
covered,
say it.
yeah. I mean, I don't want people to think that they're gonna be able to turn the tap on and it's gonna be the same thing that they get out of a bottle of bottled water.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how to,
well, maybe let me address a couple pieces of that that are somewhat problematic for me in my attempts to be accurate in my statement. What's in that bottle could be all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
that's the other
And,
thing.
and
I know.
oftentimes it is untreated water with minerals in it.
Correct.
And that's why we like the flavor of it.
Mhm.
We have had this conversation before that when we filter everything out, it will change the taste of the water a little bit.
Sure.
And frankly, I'm here for somebody wants to tell me they don't like the taste of the water after we take the manganese out. You can put my face on a dartboard and we can throw darts at it all day long. I'll take the heat for that one. But so it's going to be a little different than what's in that bottle. But we should be removing those, the red and yellow, the orange, the oxidized iron, and the black from the manganese, those particulates and particles that are in the water now that are coming up from the aquifer through the wells. So that's the stuff that, to my mind, when you say that, the clear water in the bottle
I agree.
versus the pictures of the not so great water in the tub and the sink,
Right.
yes is the answer to that. If we're talking about those differences, we will be taking that out.
I just want to make sure we meet expectations or that we explain and I make sure it's very clear that, because as you said, I think most people that buy bottled water don't realize that there's 20 different variants as to the source, what's in it, what's not in it, that same thing.
So one thing I don't want to waste an opportunity to say, and this is sort of one of those hard truths, is that after we turn the treatment plant on, there is going to be a period of transition where things may get rocky for a minute. We may have to do some additional flushing. We're introducing different water chemistry to pipes, and we're gonna stir some of that stuff up. It's gonna take a minute for us to get it all out. Obviously, when we get to that point, we will be having a completely different discussion about, operation of the system and how working together with Ryan's guys, we can move that stuff out for once and for all. But there is going to be a period of time where people might say, for a couple weeks, this has gotten worse, not better, what did you do?
Right.
And so we'll have to make sure there's some education around that, because I'm expecting some of that with the change in water chemistry and the clean water versus the sediment-laden water. So,
Well, at $30 million, I think the general consensus out there, at least from all the people I talked to, is going to be this miracle immediate fix. And in agreement that managing their expectations to understanding what this is going to do, I think is going to help them and all of us do what's best for our residents, what our residents are asking for. I think we all have a different story. I have no problem with my water whatsoever, but my neighbor, half a block up has massive issues. So we have a big contingent of people that, some have problems, some don't, some aren't gonna wanna spend 30 million and some are. So I think as clear as we can be with what people can expect, I think it's gonna be the best solution for us to try to deliver what they're asking for.
agreed.
Point of order, I'm going to close out our public comment session. Okay, now we're back to to us again. Okay, go ahead. Do you guys have anything else on that? Okay. Do you guys have anything to say?
I have a quick question maybe for Brian and or Noah. It was mentioned before that, could we say it's a fact that switching our bill from quarterly to monthly would help pay down the interest of the loan faster, or is that just making the bills simpler is the purpose of that to make it simpler for everyone to pay and budget? Or
Make
would
it simpler for the
actually-
residents to pay is my understanding right now.
Yeah, and I know that that's a benefit, but would it act as like, how some people do their mortgage, you can, jog that ahead
Escrow
and
it.
pay every 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
And knock your interest way down. Is that something that could have an impact on our potential loan?
I don't think we're gonna make our loan payments on a tighter.
Yeah.
We'd make 2
Interval.
loan payments a year, February and August.
Okay, so
That
it wouldn't be a
set at the
benefit for,
bond level,
okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't do that, that would just help residents cash flow with their other monthly.
Okay.
Because that has been something that I think all 5 of you have asked, or wanted explored, so now would be the time to do it with the utility rate study.
Okay,
That
I
would
was
be the
just curious.
opportunity to try it, so.
It's a lot easier to pay a monthly bill than a quarterly bill
Yeah.
in my household. I'm sure everybody would agree.
Yeah.
Or even like the garbage bills every other month, and I'm like.
Set it up, yeah.
Yeah, it's just easier when it's month to month, and it's roughly the same amount.
The strongest argument that I have heard for the monthly bills is that we avoid some of those surprises.
Right.
You know, for those people that have
Run
gone
toilet.
somewhere for 2 months and their toilet broke and ran, right? And it just pumped drinking water into the sanitary sewer and their meter spun for 2 months. And then they come home to a huge surprise that we would get to something like that faster. And there are all sorts of other safeguards in place for that now, but we would get to something like that in a bill form sooner.
Okay.
So that's the strongest argument I've heard for monthly billing. I know it's also going to cost the city a little bit more.
Would there be any idea or way to possibly put out a idea for, you know, let's say 40 residents are willing to pay 10 or 20 grand up front to eliminate that monthly bill? It would give us X amount of dollars to pay towards the plant without having to take out extra money. Is there a way to explore that?
That sounds like an awesome idea and a financial nightmare for Noah.
Well, it might be, no, that's why I'm trying to look over Brian's shoulder at you. But I know 20 residents right now that would do that. And would it be beneficial to us to take that big chunk in?
So 20 residents would pay like 10?
No, like maybe you could get 40 or 80 residents.
Just pay like
Offer
10
an
to
option.
20,000 up front?
Yeah.
And then we just kind of amortize it down as we go on our books, is that?
Well, I would take that money and use it towards, rather than borrowing on the loan
Prepayment.
or something, we could use that to save ourselves payment, interest rate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, that's something we can look at. Like, I don't know the mechanics of that. I mean, you're kind of talking about like an assessment almost, in a way, to the properties. I know it'd be voluntary, I'm
Yeah, it
assuming,
would be.
right? We can
Yeah, that sounds
ask.
exactly like that sounds like you're borrowing from the idea where the assessments can be levied to your property taxes with interest over, 15 years, or you can pay them upfront lump sum, and that's.
I'm just wondering if that's something to explore that could save us some.
Yeah, I don't know what the legalities of a prepaid utility bill to that level would be. I honestly don't know. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
I mean, obviously, it's not an assessment under 429.
No,
so-
not at all.
So there's no authority under that with regard to some type of prepayment. It's a monthly bill that's added on for that 20 year until the obligation is done. I guess that's something we have to explore. Maybe there's some ability, because water falls under a different statute. If he gets to geek out, so do I. So it's under 444075 statute deals with water utilities and some other utilities. And so maybe there's something under there, but we'd have to review that.
Is it most of that language, though, about recovering payments when they're not made and how to structure the utility and all that?
Not
Like,
necessarily.
not prepayment?
It talks about, availability fund, availability, it's different charges. So there's a section in there, I mean, the question that you're bringing up has not been posed to me before. So we'll say it's novel.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
explore some options to save.
Yeah, but that's where we're gonna probably find the answer to that,
Interesting.
if there's any, because we can only do with what, the authority we have is only what's been granted to the city by the state. And so we'd have to find something that would provide that authority, and that's the first place I would look. And so we can explore that, if it's, different, but I think that's where we're gonna get down to, but that may be, like, I question is, do we do that now before we even know if we're moving forward to it, or do you want to move forward to it? Maybe as we're doing the rate study, we can find out different ways to address it. I think that the decision has to be made, I think, which direction you want to go, and then we can, maybe then that's the right time to look into it. I mean, or you tell me if you want that information now.
I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
as an exploration.
I'm making a
No,
note.
we can definitely look into it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I just drive around all the time trying to figure out ways to.
oh, that's good. That's good. It's a good thing.
Well, and I guess I will mention too, we are always open to donations, I mean.
Let's do a GoFundMe.
That's great, because
Well, we can't fundraise, but just today, the J.C.'s dropped off some checks because they're, as a nonprofit, you know, for legal gambling, they need to donate X amount of dollars every year, and so, people do that privately, they do it anonymously. The city receives a fair amount of donations, generally not, you know, in the amount to pay for a water plant, but I will mention too.
But it is an idea.
It is an idea. You know, part of this grand conversation too is piggybacking on the financial management plan and the health of the water fund in general. So I mean, anything that can get us ahead a little bit in the water fund will affect, you know, how much money we need to borrow if the city borrows to pay for the plan, so.
well, anything that we can do to, you know, we've just spent the last 3 years getting ourselves healthy financially, and this is going to put us back 20 years. So anything we can do to help alleviate that, we should all be creatively thinking about that.
So I will say, Councilmember and I, right? We've been racking our brains behind the scenes with Noah. Noah's working with Ellers, Jesse, Maggie. Part of what we're talking about with franchise fees, obviously, is just pulling out of a different pocket, but that's one way. The problem a lot with the water side is because of the utility. You can't just raise, you know, the levy and just offset it. So if it was that easy, I would just be like, let's just have a higher levy year, unfortunately, and then just be done with it, you know, pay it off, or, you know, a couple years of that. The other problem too is, yeah, we already have, like you said, we've been pretty conservative with getting out of debt. The numbers, if you're watching this, this is in 2023, but we had 4.5 million negative in the hole for the water fund. Is that about the same, roughly? If we did not do the long-term financial plan, we would have been, by 2031, minus 8.6 million. And so what we've done is we're kind of trying to slow the decline and start kind of getting out here. Really, that was kind of our goal, is what, 2031, 32, somewhere in there. To actually be, was it flat by then? Or at least not so negative?
So through the FMP, we're projected to be out of the hole by 2030 of negative cash. And how we get into negative cash is our cash from operations are not covering our annual debt service. Now, we have a plan to do that, but when you add the $30 million, it complicates things.
Right.
We don't have a lot of room for error. You know, a lot of cities are sitting with $3 million in their water cash fund. We're sitting $8 million less. We're negative. So that kind of.
The other thing too is our storm in 2022 was -2. What is that now?
You talking storm sewer?
Yeah.
It's negative 2.2. We plan to present the plan at some point this year to
Right.
slowly get that to zero.
Right.
So
So that's our other problem too. So, I mean, we all know this. We've talked about this, you know, many times, but yeah, adding 30 to our own is not great. And that's not what any of us want to do at all. At the same point, I'm down at the Spirit of Lakes in our tent. You know, the city council, if you didn't know, we had a tent down there and we had a table. And a lot of us were there talking to residents, and not all of them, but I'd say the majority that came up to us were saying, this is what I would say. I'd say, well, do we want to keep waiting and do your own thing, whatever? And they're like, no, I'm sick of buying bottled water. And I said, okay, great, heard that, but it's going to cost you. It's not free. Would you be willing to pay more? Would you be willing to pay, you know, $40, $50 a month or whatever the number was, more a month? Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, fix it. Be done with it. I'm sick of our dirty water. I'm sick of our, you know, the stigma of having, you know, whether it's manganese or really it's, you know, the iron and the, you know, the tinted water, the dirty, gross water that, and then residents have, here's my picture of my, yeah, I've seen them. I've seen all of them.
We should have had a QR code and let everybody upload those.
Just upload your picture.
Have like a-
Careful what you ask for.
Well, I mean.
Here's my dirty laundry.
Well, but there's a small
Literally.
aspect of this that is like, let's let everybody get it out on the table, right?
Right.
Yeah, no,
No,
the
'cause
mayor's
it-
right, though. It was, most people saying like, it would have been nice if this was done already.
Well, and remember, we
they weren't
did get
worried
10
about
million,
the
we did get
water
another
costs, they
million.
wanted clean water.
The reason why I wanted to do this now and have an honest conversation, and we don't have to do anything. We can keep waiting.
Do
But
nothing is an option.
that's absolutely an option, and I'll keep fighting as long as I'm here. When I'm not, whoever's next can fight, whoever wins the next election. So, but we can keep fighting. We're doing it. I'm telling you, I'm talking to the people, and they're not that optimistic about us getting money. I've been saying that for 6 months or
They
so.
want clean drinking water.
Huh?
They want clean drinking water.
They want clean drinking
I
water.
mean, I get tired of going to my doctor and she's saying, can you drink the water in Mound yet?
Oh, God. So I
That's my
just,
doctor.
Are the drinking fountains on yet?
I was at work today and someone that, they grew up in Victoria said the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, you must have just fun out there with your water. And so at a certain point, it's stigma. It's, all the, the things that you hear, right? Does that affect property taxes? Does that affect people
Property
wanting
value.
to live here? Property values? I mean, we don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But some people say, well, if they don't want to deal with it, then move somewhere else, and someone else will buy their house. Yeah, people buy houses all the time here. He just did, right? Now remember, you can also, if you have a water softener, we've talked about this. You have a water softener. When I have a shower and I go, wait a minute, I don't feel quite right. What's going on?
No,
And then I go to the
no
basement.
suds? It's not getting bubbly?
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's
That's
I
the
just
indicator.
feel,
It's not said.
and it's a couple days of it probably, and then I'm like,
itchy.
yeah, a little itchy almost.
Scalp is itchy.
And then I'm like, okay. And then I go down, of course, it's bone dry, there's nothing, well, there's water on the bottom, but that's it. And so, should we provide water at the source, right, for our residents, that's what every other city does. They provide it at the source. They don't say, oh, you do your own thing, you figure it out, blah, blah, blah. They provide it at the source, they treat it, so they have clean water. Now, if they want to filter it on top of that, they want to do water softener. If you live around here, you got a water softener. I'd imagine you should be water softening your water anyway. But that's where I caution people to say, well, I can drink my water because I have a water softener. Well, first of all, make sure you're keeping up on your salt. Make sure your unit works. Make sure that, I had to break down. That's why I got the RO. Not because I felt like I had to do it because of that, but I just thought, well, it's time. I'm just sick of buying bottled water, as I have a bottle of water here. But we have a lot less bottled water. I drink out of our RO tap now constantly. The other thing is I would caution is, where is your water coming into your house? We're a 100-year-old community, right? If your water is coming in, mine comes in through a main line, and then it treats it, and then it shoots it to the rest of the house. That's not all houses. So some people have a kitchen line, and some people have other lines. So if you think you're drinking your water because you're softening it, you better make sure you're softening it, and that your pipes are, call a plumber and have them come out and look at it. And then, yeah, if you want to do a RO, I did, again, $1,600, that's what it costs, right? Water softener is what, a couple grand or $1,500, whatever. For all that, you should be doing all that. You should be buying the salt. I just had salt delivered from the hockey team. It was $30 a bag.
10 bucks a bag.
$8 a bag?
10.
$10 a bag it was.
Was it this?
Because they got 30 bags, it was $300.
Plus bonus sweaty smells.
Well, they put it
Came
where
from the
I
hockey
wanted
team.
to go too, so that was nice. I live on the hill. They
That's
brought it.
That's the benefit.
I was like,
We
you-
did it for about, 15 years.
Yeah, I'm like, call me, please. I actually texted him. I said, "You're doing this right now?" He's like, "Yeah, you're in luck.
I know.
We're doing it." So they bring it down my hill.
I
have a
have
bad
one
back.
last senior, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go searching for hockey players to deliver my salt.
I still know a few of them.
Good.
So yes, you can do it yourself, and if you are drinking your own water, yes, please be checking it. Send in to Detroit Lakes or drive it over to Bloomington. Call them. Again, we have it all on our website. But again, at the source, I think it's the city's responsibility to be treating it for the general public in general. Again, let's just say you're new to life and you don't know how to do water softeners and you just moved in, you're a first-time home buyer, or you're elderly and you just don't know, or you don't haul those big salt bags, or you don't have someone to do it, and you've been dry for 4 years and not knowing it, and you're drinking the water. Don't drink the water right now. That's why we sent the letter.
One of
So-
the things that I found surprising is a lot of our multifamily developments don't have water softeners.
There you go.
So some of those, older condos have hard water coming in there.
Mayor, you're making a case in point for all the people that visited you at the tent.
Yep.
They're all like, I don't care what it takes, just fix the water. Again, it's a beautiful thought, but again, I think that's why it's so important that we really help them understand what this treatment plant is going to do to manage their expectations, because I know what they all are expecting.
We
It's
need to
just
send a
gonna be-
message that it's gonna meet like EPA expectations, like it's, I don't wanna say clean enough, but like you can drink it out of the tap, it's
But
not
you
gonna
can
look
drink it
like,
now and people don't listen.
but like, no, it's not gonna look like smart water, but like, it's safe to drink, we can turn the drinking fountain in the park back on, and
But it's safe to drink now if you're treating it. So there are just so many, the rumor mill, the complaint club, they all help keep the stigma alive for us without really, a lot of the residents don't realize that they can drink their water. You have a water softener and, that's taking care of a lot of the manganese. So I just, with this 30 million, and it doesn't matter if we're here to do what the residents ask us to do and help them understand why this is something we either recommend, feel comfortable with, or, and again, for the residents to know that, is it October, Mayor?
So September 30th is when they have to pass their budget. Again, they could just do a CR and do it in March.
St. Paul?
No, federal.
Oh, federal?
Yep. So that's what we're waiting for. So again, we're not making any decisions tonight. This is just an open house. This is just like we did in March. We just want to let people know. We wanted to invite the public up here to talk if they want to talk, or you can watch this later if you're doing that. But really, that's the next step. I do think that the five of us should be talking. Do we want to just have Jesse look at, okay, what does, RFP look like, right? And then bring that back to us. And then, at a next meeting or two, and then do we go out, then they'll tell us, well, how much did it cost? And again, remember, this is something we're gonna have to do anyway. It'll get covered by the loan part of it, if we need to borrow money.
That's important. I maybe glossed over that earlier. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but the cost of the rate study can be rolled into the loan.
Right. And again,
Assuming we get one.
Yeah, unless we got all the money, and if we do that, who cares? Then we just paid for the study, it doesn't matter, because we just got a lot of free money. So I think what I would like to do is I think it's time for a request to have, Jesse and staff and you guys, look at, okay, what does that look like? And then they'll bring it back to a next meeting or two. Then at that point, we're not gonna spend, well, we can, but, really, we're just gonna go, okay, are we gonna approve this or not? And kind of why are we doing it again?
Could you repeat that? What are you asking them to do? The rate study or
The rates-
preparation for the study?
The rate study. And,
Okay.
well, because we don't have anything prepared tonight.
Okay.
So I just want them to start, instructions to the staff to, go out for RFP, or.
Prepare the RFP.
Prepare the RFP. They have to bring it back to us, and then we'd have to do a motion to approve it, right?
To approve it.
So we're not officially approving it tonight, but instructions, I don't want them to do that, and then only two of us want to do this, and then.
you're not approving an RFP, you're asking them to get one ready.
We're getting one ready, and then at the next meeting, or the next two, am I wrong on this? Can you
Well,
get that fast?
I think our position would be to request a proposal from Ellers, since they're our municipal advisor and have done the most previous rate study. So it's semantics, but just for the sake of the record, we would be looking for staff direction to get a utility rate study from Ellers, or proposal from Ellers, with some of these things built in that we've talked about, looking at monthly and basically plugging in a water plant into the future rates.
I agree with that. I mean, Ellers has a lot of our data. I mean, obviously, we got to refresh and stuff, and they did our financial plan, so instead of commingling another third party that doesn't, and then it's probably going to cost more anyway.
Cost more with more time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering, how competitive is that? that type of
They're,
a study? I mean, as far as cost from vendors, do we have any idea? I mean, is there an advantage for us to put it out there in the street to get bid on?
I mean, I would say the advantage is to use the municipal advisor that we currently use for the FMP and the most previous rate study. I mean, there's gonna be staff time regardless, but there's probably twice as much in preparing everything for a group that's never been exposed to Mound's books.
Okay.
To your point, you could do an RFP that we prepare that goes out to everybody, and it would be more of a competitive bidding process.
Right.
I can't speak to that. I don't know that if it would be
I don't
half
know.
as much or twice as much. I just think, I would doubt that it would be enough of a savings to justify moving away. I mean, it's similar to I think a conversation that was just had about our engineers. The institutional knowledge is sort of incalculable, but I can tell you, I wouldn't want to subject Noah to an extra week or two of pulling things together. So that's our recommendation. It's obviously at the council's will. If you want to do an RFP, we can certainly prepare one. Otherwise, we would work directly with Ehlers and bring something back a little quicker.
Can I ask if this cost will be roughly the same as when Ehlers did our last, when they were doing the franchise fee? I think it was, what, 50 grand?
The whole,
Does I know we're getting reimbursed for it, but we have to pay for it up front. How long will it take to get reimbursed? Just curious about cost and reimbursement time.
I don't know that we have a good idea. I don't know if you do on cost, but
And remember that they're gonna come back and say, it will cost this, do we approve it? So we will
Yes.
have a final say on it.
Believe it or not, the tricky thing is gonna be the going to monthly. So that I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest, that would be the tricky part as far as rolling that in the utility rate study, because that does change all your tiers, that changes your cash flow. Everything you do in your utility funds affects everything else. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. You take cash here, you gotta make sure you balance here. It's quite intensive, so that would be my one, I don't know the monthly, what that'll look like.
And
But
I'd
if we
like
decide-
clarification too, because you said the study gets reimbursed,
rolled into the loan.
rolled in.
it gets rolled into the loan. It's not really a reimbursement, it's just a refinancing.
Exactly.
It's rolled in, but
Finance
remember,
person.
No, it's rolled in, it gets added to the
it does, but
amount.
they also require us to do it.
Oh, I know
If
that,
you
I'm
do a
not
PFA,
objecting, but
yeah.
I just don't want us to think
No,
that
it's
it's
not
a
free.
grant.
It's not a
thank
free
you.
deal.
Understand that it
Yeah.
is added cost
Yes.
into the bond.
Yeah.
No, that's an important point.
So if we
Yeah.
decide that we want to look at Ehlers for the utility rate study, it would still come back with, how much it will be, and then we can just say yay or nay.
Yeah,
We want to look for somebody else, or that's acceptable.
yeah, I mean, I would second using Ehlers. I mean, again, I've talked to them too, just going through this whole thing with the finance committee, and they already know everything. They know a lot of what they already did a study, so.
We probably don't want to pay someone to
Remember,
collect info that.
We're a
Ehlers
small
already
city, we
has.
use these consultants, just like Bolton and Mink, right? We can go search for, a different group. But what, 20, how long you been here? Not you, but your group.
Yeah, I have been here since 2005.
Yeah,
Wow.
what's that worth to, although he's not an employee, he's our consultant that we pay. What's that worth to us? That's worth a lot. I mean, really.
The phrase I would use is, we enjoy being an extension of staff.
Exactly, yeah. And then we don't have to pay
No,
all
we
your
don't have to pay
benefits and all
benefits.
your, we looked at actually bringing someone like you in-house, and it just.
I think, why
doesn't-
don't, we have a very competent staff and city manager, and I think we should instruct them that we want them to look at getting a consultant contract for doing a rate study, and that they will do whatever they do. They'll probably look at different firms, not necessarily take RFPs. I don't think we have to get into the details of how they do it, but I think we ask them to use their expertise to find us a good consultant to do the study.
When
I
think
make
what-
that a motion.
Okay. Well, we got a motion, and I think that's what they are saying,
Yeah.
is they would prefer to use Ehlers, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
let them.
let them
you know.
figure it out. Okay, are we ready to be done? You got a motion?
He just made a motion.
Do we want to make a second? So the
I'll
motion is
second
to have staff look into a retail.
You seconded it.
utility
I
rate
didn't say
study.
nay, no, I said Kathy second.
Oh,
Okay.
she's second, okay. So I got a motion and a second. Can I get any other discussion about this before we move on? I think we've basically said everything. So, okay. Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes. So,
Yeah.
I want
I
to
have-
thank Noah and,
Yeah.
you know, Jesse, Maggie, Brian, Jason, all of you for putting all this together so we can make an informed decision
Yeah.
when the time is right.
yeah.
I know it's been a whole lot of work and a lot of preparation. So
And
thank you.
following up on what Kathy was raising about, getting community people to really understand this, I'd like to suggest that all of us as council people think about maybe groups that we know that we could do presentations to. And Mayor, I'd like to encourage you to go to Gillespie and maybe do something after their lunch. They always have presentations after lunch on Wednesday. And last time you were there, 30 people showed up, so.
I did it 2 years in a row. So yes,
Yeah.
I can go back and,
But there are other clubs too, service groups that
Yeah.
we all are involved in that we could, ask to be on the program to keep getting the word out there
yeah.
so that people know. And I think all of us should make a commitment to trying to do some of that.
I will say, yes, I second that. But remember, it's 5 of us, right? I'm not Mayor Fry, right, in Minneapolis. We're all equals, right? Yes,
Yeah.
I run the meetings per se, but
5 votes.
it's all 5 of us. We're, it's 3 out of 5 votes makes this thing work, right? So please, you do one too, right? You do one. Show up downtown with me. Come to a Senate hearing, talk to the people. I'm sure you guys are, but the more of us, the better, and I don't think that's a bad thing, so appreciate it.
I don't normally want to spend taxpayer money on anything, but in this situation, I think once the message is crafted and we've made a decision on what direction we're going to in, I think we should do a mailer to all of the residents to give them an absolute heads up with enough time to understand this is the direction we're going. Give them one more time to come in and voice their opinion. This is so much money, and
Yeah.
I really think we owe it to the residents. We can hope and wish all we want that they're checking social media or checking the website, but most people are pretty apathetic until all of a sudden they get that bill and go, why didn't I know about this? As you said, we've given them every opportunity to understand that this has been a really hard issue, and we're empathetic to the cost of it. And so I would recommend we look at doing that. Again, once the message is crafted and we feel good with it, let's get those residents something in the mail that they can physically read.
Separate from the news, the
Oh,
Compass.
100%, yeah.
And maybe do it
should be
after,
like an EDDM type piece.
and that would be like after October when we,
Yes.
decide or find out if.
Well, I
what
don't know, that's
we're
what we're
not
talking
getting.
about. When would we send that out? That's a good question.
It'd have to be after October, I would think, to put the most accurate numbers on there.
Yeah,
And then kind of a narrative around, consultants and studies too. I mean, like you said, spending taxpayer money. I mean, there's great benefit in, studies cost money and it's just like a number that but helps us keep staff small and save a lot in the long run. I mean, having people like Bolton and Mink. So I mean, if we can get more accurate numbers around that, that's probably a really good idea.
I'll
Your
jump.
separate mailer, I mean.
I'll jump into on that point. So we're waiting to October because we have a couple irons in the fire. In Brian's timeline, there was when we can start getting reimbursed for the 10.3 million. That's this fall around that same time, as long as everything goes right from here to there. That basically takes the brakes off of the design. So realistically, if the council's making a decision, vote to approve of going out for bids for this thing, it's not gonna be until the spring anyway. So there's gonna be a little bit of a lag between when we know if we're getting funded to when we know if we're moving forward. So we can do this over the winter or in the fall right away. We could do 2 of them. I mean, I believe, I think the same that the 5 of you do, that more is better from communication. I'd rather just continue to inundate the public. So hopefully in October, we're celebrating, and that makes it a little bit easier to move forward. But, you know, good or bad, we should probably we can start crafting that around then for something for the fall outside of the newsletter. But yeah, there is a little bit of time. We're not going to come back in October and at least I won't be asking you to make a firm decision that day. I think like I said, maybe you'll be able to, but there's a little bit of a lag there.
If we are able to, that would be probably a really good thing.
If there's $15 million waiting for us, then yeah, I'll be begging you to build a water plant. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right,
Be marvelous.
number 9, we got comments and reports from council members. Councilmember Pugh.
October 25th is going to be the 25th anniversary of Gillespie Center. They're going to have a gala, so I expect to see all of us there in our best and having a good time.
What time is it?
I think it's probably going to start around 6 or 7, but they're just putting out the save the date
Is
right
that
now.
a Saturday? Or?
It's a Friday. I'm not sure. I think it's a Friday.
Well, they have lots to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Saturday.
do. They really do.
October 25th.
They've really come a long way.
They sure have.
And everything, so.
What is it, Saturday?
I'm putting it on the calendar right now.
Yeah. October 25th.
October 25th
Lovely.
at 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
What, do you, like, speakers, fundraising, that kind of thing?
I think they're going to have a band and
Oh.
speakers and, food and celebrate.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Is that all you got?
That's all I have, except for, I have to admit that this year at Festival of the Lakes, I couldn't
Spirit
believe all the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, where are they all hiding? You know? I mean, it was really great. I mean, the parade was like double
Yeah.
the size this year, but a lot of businesses were in it. And it was interesting to see the e-bike folks. And then we also had the mountain bikes, and I wondered, where are the mountain bikes kids going? You know? But it was good to see the representation.
All right, Councilmember McEnany.
Well, I want to thank Public Works, but he's gone.
He had a 3-hour drive ahead of him.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
He's going to a Public Works conference.
Oh, he is. Well, Ryan and Boyce, thank you for all of their hard work. I was only able to be there, I had my 50th class reunion this weekend, but I was there Thursday night, and the kids fair was fabulous. The
It was,
business
wasn't it?
fair. It was
That was the
really.
new part, right?
Yeah, it was new, and it was really
Matter of
neat.
fact, his kids made $200 or something in their booth.
Yeah, so that was a really great addition. And then I got back in time late Saturday afternoon, so I got to see the fireworks and a little bit of the end. But also to the Spirit of Lakes Committee, thank you. Alan Almas, Hagen Landscaping, Nickham Docks. Just one heck of a fireworks show, best on the lake. So thank you for that. Maggie, I was all excited yesterday when I thought Invoice Cloud was up and running. And then I go to sign up for it and it's not up and running. So what happened?
Yeah, I made an error on the website, so I changed it back. So that was my fault. So we're still on board for Thursday.
Oh, it's opening Thursday?
Yeah, and so I made an error. I thought I set the website to update that it was opening on Thursday. I didn't realize I didn't set it up correctly. So it's reverted back to what it was, and then on Thursday, everything will be updated on the website, showing that Invoice Cloud is now available.
So exciting.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking to place any blame. I was just curious
No,
if something happened.
It's been going back and forth, but we're finally confident it's going to be ready Thursday. Thank
That's really
goodness.
exciting. Thank you.
Tentatively confident.
Tentatively
The
confident.
programmers are still emailing us back and forth, so I just want to we're very hopeful.
That's really exciting. Also, I've been curious a lot, you know, with the 250-year celebration coming up next year, does Mound have any plans to celebrate in any way America's 250 year? I know I'm just throwing it out there if we want to give any consideration to something.
You know, I can maybe put something out into the ether on, like, if there's a larger entity that might be sponsoring something, you know, I mean, there's a lot of cities that probably are interested in doing something. It'd be nice if we didn't have to all do our own.
That would be great. It'd be fun to look into it. I think that's probably it.
Okay. Councilmember Castellano.
I don't have anything, I guess personally that I want to add, but were you going to mention?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no, I don't think I have anything I want to add.
Councilmember Herrick.
As was stated earlier, we had our meeting with the Orono Police Department. I know you mentioned the e-bike thing, and so did the police officer that was here. I really think we should definitely consider coming up with an ordinance for the city that would be in line with the other participating cities with the Orono Police Department. I don't think this is going to go away, and based on what the statistics that they had shown us in that meeting, and things how rapidly they're changing, as the police officer mentioned, this is going to be tough to stay ahead of, and if we don't start working on it now, I'm not sure that we'll be prepared.
It's really frightening when they come up behind you, because you don't hear them.
They never say on your left either.
Well,
I
and I
don't see
think
that,
if we
yeah.
come together as a consortium and approach, maybe, I know you're already working with the commissioner and Three Rivers, and maybe if we come together as a group and say, hey, we're all going to do this, so pieces of your trail will now be broken, and we're going to enforce these rules, you know, in our city. But that's one thing, because as you said, and he said, and, you know, the discussion that we had with the other cities, this is becoming a very serious problem. On the jet ski conversation was another thing we discussed. I think we want to be very clear with our constituents too that we own up to the water. And so if there is an issue that's occurring that is on the water, they need to contact LMCD or the Sheriff's Patrol to have them deal with it. On the lake, there's a lot of chaos going on out there, especially off the surf side. I've seen it. It scares me to death.
Those
but,
flips and stuff?
it's just, well, they're out there on these jet skis without, you know, life jackets on. I don't know, Jesse, we were also getting a buoy. Has that been, I know we talked about that briefly at the police.
Approved by the Water Patrol and ordered. I haven't seen a picture of it yet, so I don't think it's.
So you don't know when it's coming?
No, as soon as it gets here, the guys
Okay.
will have it out.
All right, that's great. And then, of course, anything that's happening on the land, then that would be the Orono Police Department. I do have a question. There is a sign down there that talks about parking on the weekends. It doesn't mention if there's a fine or what happens. So do we know, what does that ordinance say? Do we know? Is there a fine of $50, a fine of $5? What, if you get caught parking down there?
That's the problem. Some people say, I'll just pay the $50 fine, no big deal, or whatever it is. It's not much.
Make it stiff.
It's like a state thing that we can't change.
You can only do it,
It's-
okay, but
yeah.
what is the fine?
I don't remember.
Well, sometimes they tow them, but very seldom.
Yeah, because I mean, there was one down there Sunday, and I left the area, came back, and it was still sitting there. There was not, you know, a tag, and I thought, all right, I'm not going to do anything about it. But, you know, if we're going to have a rule, we need to enforce it.
I always call them when I see that.
Yeah.
And
So,
they know to go check on him and whatever, but yeah.
I mean, the problem
busy.
is they don't always do much, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to them every single weekend. You know, we've been really lucky the last 2 weeks. You know, we've kept a couple of the rogue businesses at bay, but they don't do 1 ounce of instruction. They use our beach as their staging area, and they send people out there that have no clue what they're doing. They have no direction on what to do. And this is going to self-correct itself a little bit now that the new law is going into effect that everybody has to have a boater's license.
Right.
But the problem with that, like, I know that I've talked to Kenneth Bay Rentals, and he's already working with the DNR to figure out how rental companies are going to be dealing with this. But most people aren't giving any thought to that, and it's gonna be a problem. Enforcing. Because enforcement is always the problem.
So we are gonna put out a buoy. We got a permit, is it approved?
Yep.
Okay, we got a permit for a no-wake buoy. You've seen those, right? We're gonna throw that out, what, 200 yards? 300?
300 feet.
300 feet.
Right.
That's when they can break
So then they can break.
speed or whatever it is.
Yeah,
they call
and
it.
again, you're still gonna see people breaking that. If you,
Film it
if you
or,
wanna be Mr. Robin Hood, then sit down there, you can call the police, but, or, sorry, call
Don't.
the sheriff, sorry, the sheriff.
Just call the sheriff.
But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too.
That'll
is
be a great help, just to have another obstacle out there.
And then I do wanna get another one for the other side. We're trying to get one quick.
Over by that other dock.
There should be one over by the other dock,
Yeah.
really. And there was one, again, on the left side a long time ago, as I'm looking at the
Well,
water.
people are using that other dock now?
They use both docks all the time.
People use that dock all the
I
time.
use that dock.
Every time I never
That
see
dock
people
is
using
used quite
the
a
other
bit.
one.
Well, the one is really for getting in and out.
Swimmers, yeah.
I mean, the one side of it. The other
Yeah.
side you can park, but, it's really supposed to be for that. But, no, I park on the other one all the
Yeah,
time.
people use that a lot.
So that, yeah, we're gonna,
I think just
Get that going.
helping them to understand that, the city owns to the end of the dirt, and then we start with.
Our jurisdiction ends where the water begins.
Correct. There you go. That's a very eloquent way of
There you
saying it. I like that. Yeah, so that's something we have to be very clear about. And the parking thing is one thing that we can deal with. Just hoping maybe we can either cite I know there are so many signs there, though. I don't know that anybody really reads them.
Well, the police, they've asked for those signs, so they have something to be able
Okay.
to point to and say,
Okay.
you're
Right.
not complying with our ordinance or signs. So we added those 2 summers ago, and
Okay.
actually, last summer, we had a beautiful summer down there.
Yeah.
No big issues, and usually after the 4th, these people get the understanding that they haven't registered with Mound, so they generally go away and go to another, they're over at West Arm now,
Right.
and they go away. So,
Well, I just want to make sure we are enforcing our parking rule. That's the only rule really we have down there that we can enforce. So, on that July 4th weekend, it was bad out there. It
Oh,
was
God.
dangerous on the water.
everywhere.
Hooray to the water patrol for doing what they could do with the people that they have, but once again, we don't have much say in that, so.
Well, and
that's
again,
unfortunate.
if you recall our meetings from 2 years ago, every single city deals with this.
Yeah.
That's why these people show up, because they get kicked out of one city, but it doesn't happen overnight. Usually takes a month or 2 for them to understand, we're in great shape now that we do have an ordinance, and we do have a business registration,
Right.
but they do everything they can to get away with it. And if we're not on top of it, they're gonna get away with it.
We
So,
were told that one of them was in the process, but didn't have the insurance
right.
documentation to support
And
the
they're
license.
the ones that are terrorizing the
Yes.
beach.
all right, anything else?
No.
No, I'm done
Oh,
preaching
next.
about calling the police or calling the water patrol, but it does make a difference. We're asking these police officers to do something that they can't do.
But complaints really help too.
Right.
They understand that there is an issue, and they do finally get down there to respond, but they have a log of complaints too.
Right.
So we can say, from a couple weeks ago, they had probably had 30 calls,
Right.
all about this.
But I don't
Two
want to be
companies.
calling them down there, the police department making a call when there's nothing they can do other than give a parking ticket.
That's what they can do.
They can do, and they can
that's the-
call and have them towed.
Well, they could have them towed or give them a ticket. I'm fine with them giving a ticket because I understand the liability if they tow a truck with a trailer attached to it. That's kind of a bad option. But, if you accumulate a bunch of these, because these people seem to have no regard for the law. So if we just keep ticking at them, eventually, that becomes a problem for them, I would think.
The more they realize that we're enforcing
Correct.
what we're asking them to comply with, the faster they go away.
Anything else?
Or they actually register and follow the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
And go, more to them if they do that. That's great.
Anything else?
No, the dog got, what do you call it? The dog went to the city council meeting in Orono and got a badge.
Oh, we got
What's that
sworn
called?
in.
Yeah.
He was
Official
sworn in, there we go.
officer now.
I didn't know what to call it.
He
It was
got
a dog.
that little dog got a
Got a
lot of
badge and
likes
everything.
too.
Did he? He's cute. All right, other than that, no, I don't have anything else. I guess we'll get more updates on the e-bike situation once we
Yeah.
contact the members. I'll let you talk about that. But I'm done. Thank you.
Cool, all right. We are working on a proposal for, you know how you put the flags up right all over town?
Yep.
Those little banner hooks right onto
Yep.
that?
Mhm.
So we're working on a proposal that, we were trying to bring it to this, but we're gonna hopefully bring it to the next meeting, right? At the meeting. And I know there's been some thought into it. You know how Spring Park, right, they do it, they're beautiful. So I know you've been spending a little time with it too.
Well, I have a lot of concepts on it, but I'm still sort of putting on the brakes, waiting to hear from Hasbro. So if that doesn't happen, we can abandon that. And I have a whole list of potential, you know, we need a tagline.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we're gonna bring it to the next meeting, how much do these cost to put banners all over the city, right? But
Well-
again, just the flags alone, and then when you go through Spring Park, and it's just so beautiful, it gives a sense of, you know, pride of the town. The other thing too is, you know, it's funny, when I was walking door to door, right, and saw you a few times, and we would, you know, you go into the next city, right, and it's like, well, that's Manchester, you know. It's so funny that people don't know where our borders are, and it's like, well, that's Mound. Now, obviously, this is just kind of our main intersections, but I think just giving Mound a little bit more sense of pride of Mound, obviously making it look nice, right? We want this to be very, very nice looking. And then, anyway, Jesse's working on proposals for costs and stuff, and it sounds like it's better than we expected, so.
Well,
Next,
we
more to
also
come.
need to thank the Legion for their support getting the flags.
The flags.
Yeah,
I
those all
forgot
look
about
so
that.
nice.
Yeah, they helped out with that, so we need to definitely
We really
acknowledge them.
do. That's just, did they donate all those flags?
I don't know, Noah may know, there was some money that we grabbed from one area, but the flags, I think they bought some of them and donated them. I just don't know. We'll have to get the specs from
They look really,
Ryan and Dustin.
really awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
I don't know if we send them a thank you note or how that works. We're not in the South.
I guess if you're
Thank you.
working on numbers,
South.
I'd love to make a presentation on that night too with everything I've worked on,
Yeah.
whether we've heard from Hasbro or not. I still don't think it's gonna be a problem because we're not doing anything with Hasbro that, well, no, they're,
Copyright.
we wouldn't be doing anything that would infringe on their immediate copyright of their current logo.
Right.
I'm not proposing that at all, so I think I'll just propose it one way or the other, and I can do that at our next meeting as well.
Cool. So it was, what, 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I was at Spirit of Lakes Festival, and I'm in the beverage area, and Eric comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to introduce you to our new deputy city manager." And so Maggie, who it's unfortunately her last day tonight, and sorry I'm putting you on the spot, but we are all gonna extremely miss you. You've done phenomenal things for the city. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Is it 2 years or 3 years?
2.
2. Well, it's been a great 2 years. I still remember meeting you outside of the tent that first night, and I thought, oh my God, she's just perfect. He just picked the perfect person. So I'll just say my thing. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything, but thank you again. Good luck on your next thing. And if you need another job, you know where we're at. If it doesn't work out.
If we can't find somebody and your job doesn't work out, come on back, come on back.
Yeah, this is really a
It might be
surprise.
timely. No, Maggie, I tell you every day, I think God put you on her path for the exact right time and reason, and it's been just a pure pleasure working with you, and I'm so thankful you were here to propel Mound into the next generation, because we were archaic prior to that.
So
thank you and good luck.
Maggie, it's been just a joy working with you, especially on the Parks Commission. They're going to miss you.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm in shock.
Yep, yep.
But I know you'll do well wherever you go. You've got a wonderful personality, you've got talent, and you've got patience. And that's a real value to have.
I just want to say congratulations, but like what Kathy had said too, is if you could just see from our side, like how much you've gotten done and how many, just what a great impact you've had on so many things that might seem, I don't know, smaller, or they were easy for you, but they were just so needed. And yeah, you did so many great things, so thank you. And congratulations.
You wear a lot of hats, Maggie.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what I was
You're gonna
looking
need a
for.
hat rack wherever you go.
You gonna say something?
I say, now she's an expert on phone systems.
I know. Should add another skill set.
Yeah, I just want to say it's been a
Speech.
pleasure as well, so thank you.
Yeah. Sorry to put you on the spot,
No,
but
it's-
we kind of have to. We got to say how awesome.
No,
you are.
I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
so thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? All right, we're adjourned.